Chapter 1707. Chapter 1707. Chapter 1707. I call the shot. Impossible, how can you only be a fourth tribulation creator? Shi Wuming murmured to himself. From the start of his cultivation until now, his path had been smooth sailing. He had seen geniuses stronger than him, fought with 7 tribulation creators, and even killed 6 tribulation creators. However, all of them had cultivated much longer than him, and the youngest among them was already more than 60,000 years old. In the 9 wastelands and the 3 perilous realms, there wasn't a second person like him who was able to become a 5 tribulation creator in just 3,000 years of cultivation. But now, he was defeated by a 4 tribulation creator. This made him feel like he had fallen from the clouds into an abyss. The difference in his mentality was so great that ordinary cultivators wouldn't be able to understand what kind of feeling this was. Why are you still standing here? You want to take my second punch? Ning Qi calmly looked at Wuming Shi. Shi Wuming gradually woke up from her daze. I am a proud son of heaven. I broke through to become a 5th tribulation master of creation in 3,000 years. This is unprecedented. As he consoled himself and encouraged himself, the confidence in Shi Wuming's eyes gradually returned. He looked at Ning Qi in high spirits and sneered. I don't care if your cultivation is at the 4th tribulation or not. Since I've lost today, I'll let this matter go. However, pausing for a moment, he continued, you will definitely go to the dead end, right? In there, I will defeat you and have a real fight with you. At that time, it won't be as simple as today. Oh, got it. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. Seeing that Ning Qi's reply was so perfunctory, Shi Wuming suppressed the anger in his heart and turned to leave. Wait, anything else? Wuming Shi turned to look at Ning Qi. You can go, but they must stay. Ning Qi pointed at the hundreds of snake demons brought by Shi Wuming and said with a smile. Even the weakest among these snake demons was a 1st tribulation creator. Since they were all creation points, how could Ning Qi let them go? Shi Wuming was only a 5 tribulation creator. Even if he killed her, he would only get 25 creation points. He might even be hunted down by 2 9 tribulation creators. Ning Qi naturally understood the pros and cons of this deal. However, the snake demons he had brought over added up to a considerable amount of creation points. There were definitely more than 1,000. Ning Qi would never let go of this opportunity. Hiss hiss hiss. When the snake demons heard this, they immediately flew into a rage. Their scarlet eyes glared at Ning Qi as they flicked their tongues. A murderous aura gradually emanated from their bodies and filled the surroundings, causing the surrounding temperature to drop by several degrees. What do you mean? Shi Wuming looked at Ning Qi, a trace of anger flashing in her eyes. I've said it very clearly. If you can't hear me clearly, I'll say it again. You can leave, but they must stay. Since you've come to kill me, do you think you can leave so easily? Ning Qi smiled faintly. When the nearby cultivators saw this scene, they looked at Ning Qi with a trace of fear in their eyes. Was this guy crazy? Knowing that the snake demons were protective of their own, he actually intended to keep all the snake demons here? Wasn't he afraid that the cultivators of the Blood Flood desolate domain would come out in full force? Impossible. There was no way they would stay. Human cultivator, don't go too far. Shi Wuming growled. My fist is bigger now, so I have the final say. If you want to protect them, I'll kill you as well. I heard that your talent is very heaven-defying, and you're destined to break through to the 9 tribulation creator realm? If you die in my hands today, there might not be another chance in the future. Ning Qi said with a faint smile. A trace of fear flashed in Shi Wuming's eyes. This guy really dared to kill him? He was the closest to Ning Qi, so when Ning Qi said those words, he was the only one who felt the terrifying murderous aura. No, I'm destined to become a 9 tribulation creator. I can't die here. Ning Qi's punch had already shattered his guts. Shi Wuming immediately made a decision in his heart. He swept a cold glance at Ningqi, as if he wanted to memorize Ningqi's appearance and aura. Then, he turned around and left, disappearing from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. The group of snake demons looked at this scene dumbfounded, a trace of disbelief in their eyes. Shi Wuming really left them here and ran away? Apart from Shi Wuming, there was another 5 tribulation creator among the snake demons. His reaction was also very fast. As soon as Shi Wuming left, he followed closely behind, turning into a ray of green light and flying into the sky. But soon, a saber light caught up to him. Puff! That 5 tribulation creators' body exploded in the sky like a red firework. A trace of fear quietly appeared in the eyes of the snake demons. They had never seen a cultivator like Ningqi. Was he really not afraid of revenge and attacked them casually? Even a 5 tribulation creator was killed with a single slash? There's no justice in this world. One of the snake demons let out an angry roar, but he soon couldn't speak anymore. His head rolled on the ground. This time, the other snake demons exploded. Some attacked Ningqi angrily, while others turned and fled. The nearby cultivators only saw a flash of saber light. In less than 3 breaths' time, there were hundreds of broken corpses on the ground. Some snake demons didn't die on the spot, but they let out painful howls. Ningqi killed these snake demons that didn't die one by one, and the system's notifications kept ringing. In this wave, he had earned nearly 1,500 creation points. Host: Ningqi level 4 Tribulation Creator creation points 13975/100000 Cultivation Technique Confining Dragon Elephant Art level 8 Health points 1 Yuan Dragon Slaying Crystal 505230. After glancing at the attributes panel, Ningqi turned and walked back into the inn with satisfaction. The owner of the inn stared blankly at Ningqi as he returned to his seat. When the other customers saw Ningqi enter, they subconsciously stood up and looked at Ningqi with eyes full of respect. Only Xiao Wuye and the others remained seated. Even though Ningqi's combat strength was extremely terrifying, they still had the pride of being a disciple of a top sect. As senior, what else do you want to eat? The innkeeper reacted and hurriedly trotted to Ningqi. He had a fawning look on his face, but in his heart, he was praying for Ningqi to leave this place as soon as possible. This time, more than 100 snake demons had died. Perhaps it would not be long before the terrifying revenge of the bloodshed desolate domain arrived. If Ningqi still refused to leave his inn, the innkeeper only had one choice: snake stew. Hurry up! I want to eat snake stew. Hu Qingzi pointed at the corpses outside. These snake demons are all first tribulation creators. Stew will definitely be delicious. What? Chapter 1708. In the inn, the crowd watched as the figure walked towards Ningqi. They could not help but wonder if this person knew the Xianbei cultivator. Ningqi's expression was solemn. Only Hu Qingzi did not notice anything amiss and continued to urge the innkeeper to serve the snake soup. City Lord of Jade Water City, Immortal Yu Shui, 9 Tribulation Creator, 3 Yuan of Health. The identity of the person was clear to Ningqi at a glance. The health points of 3 Yuan shocked Ningqi even more. The other party was 100% a human clan cultivator, but his health points had reached 3 Yuan, which was equivalent to 30 billion. Even Happy Demon Supremacy, whom Ningqi had met once, had less health points than this person. Could it be that his cultivation was stronger than the Joyous Joy Demon Lord? Immortal Yu Shui sat down. Hu Qingzi was slightly stunned and frowned. Who are you? Immortal Yu Shui ignored her and looked at Ningqi indifferently with a faint smile. I'm Chou Yun. May I know how to address you? Xianbei. Ningqi smiled. Chou Yun should be his real name. However, from the reaction of the crowd in the inn, they did not recognize Immortal Yu Shui's origin. Obviously, this name had not appeared for a long time. Hu Qingzi was shocked. She finally realized that things were not as simple as it seemed. The cultivator in front of her was calm and composed, as if he did not notice the snake corpses outside. If it was an ordinary cultivator, he would not even dare to approach this place, let alone enter the inn. Not a bad name, but I have never heard of it. Perhaps it is not your real name? Immortal Yushui smiled and paused. Did the cultivators of Jade Water City die in your hands? Jade Water City? A look of shock flashed across the eyes of the crowd. This man had just said that the cultivators of Jade Water City were all killed by him. What did he mean by that? Could it be that this cultivator, Xian Bei, had killed a group of cultivators of Jade Water City before coming here? Didn't this mean that he had already offended two powerful forces that could make one's hair stand on end? You are, Hu Qingzi looked at Venerable Yushui in shock. She had already vaguely guessed her origins. Her body couldn't help but tremble. She almost turned into a fox and hid in Ning Qi's arms again. That's right. Senior, are you here to avenge them? Ning Qi nodded calmly, but he was also a little surprised. He thought he could attract another group of cultivators, but the other party was so straightforward. The city lord had directly come out. If they fought, how many moves could he withstand? A dozen or so moves should be enough, right? However, the little fox was in danger. Senior? For him to call you senior, could it be that the person who came is? Everyone shuddered and looked at Venerable Yushui with a trace of respect in their eyes. The strength that Ning Qi had just displayed was at least at the level of an immortal king. Normally, at this level, be it a 6 Tribulation Master of Creation, a 7 Tribulation Master of Creation, or an 8 Tribulation Master of Creation, they all had about the same status. When a 6 Tribulation Master of Creation saw an 8 Tribulation Master of Creation, they basically wouldn't call him senior, unless their ancestors were originally related, or they knew that the other party had cultivated for too long. Basically, only a 9 Tribulation Master of Creation was qualified for an immortal king expert to call him senior. Thinking back to Jade Water City, the identity of this middle-aged cultivator was already obvious. That's right. Most of the cultivators that died in your hands were arranged by the 4 major families of Jade Water City to serve in the City Lord's mansion. No matter what, I'm here to give them an explanation. Venerable Yushui said faintly. Pausing for a moment, he continued, however, seeing how you killed so many cultivators of the Bloodfall desolate domain, and even made the ancient heaven's pride that only appears once in millions of years of the Bloodfall clan kneel in front of you, I quite admire you. Help me give those 2 old fellows a tight slap. So, senior, are you planning to let me go? Ning Qi smiled. If you're willing to be my disciple, I'll forget about the matter in Jade Water City. I'll also help you settle the matter with the Bloodfall clan. What do you think? Venerable Yushui looked at Ning Qi with sparkling eyes. Hu Qingzi was stunned for a moment. Then, his eyes were filled with surprise as he looked at Ning Qi expectantly. If this senior is really the city lord of Jade Water City, won't this Xian Bei have a meteoric rise? A 9 Tribulation Master of Creation. How many 9 Tribulation Master of Creation are there in the central mainland? The cultivators of the 6 major sects were shocked and envious. Even Xiao Wuya and the others, who had not guessed Immortal Yushui's true identity, could tell from Immortal Yushui's words that this person's cultivation base must be extraordinary and divine. There's no need for me to be your disciple. I already have a master. Ning Qi smiled. If he had not clashed with the cultivators of Jade Water City, he would have considered it. With the backing of a 9 Tribulation Master of Creation, he did not have to be afraid of an existence like Demon Exalted Joy. However, after killing so many cultivators of Jade Water City, it would be different if he were to acknowledge this person as his master. He rejected? Fuji, Zhan Donglai, Sakya Rui, Xiao Wei, Duanmu Chong, Zhao Lang, and the others who were considered as geniuses in the 6 major sects wished that they could become Ning Qi and kneel down to acknowledge him as their master. They had been cultivating in the sects for many years, but they had only heard their respective sect masters preach 3 to 5 times. Only the direct disciples of the sect masters could receive personal guidance from the sect masters, and their cultivation was much higher than theirs. However, this guy actually gave up on such a great opportunity? Celestial Lord Yushui was slightly startled. He said calmly, "With your talent, you will definitely achieve great things in the future. If you don't want to be my disciple, I won't leave a potential enemy for Jade Water City. But you're just a 4 tribulation creator. If I kill you today, people might say that I, Celestial Lord Yushui, am bullying the weak. How about this? If you can take a palm strike from me, I'll let you go today." Venerable Yushui. It was indeed Venerable Yushui. Everyone gasped in agitation. Venerable Yushui was a 9 tribulation master of creation, and they were actually staying in the same inn with a 9 tribulation master of creation. Xiao Wuya and the rest were even more shocked. After cultivating for so many years, they had never come into such close contact with a 9 tribulation master of creation. This guy is too stupid. He missed a chance to rise to the top in a single step. Venerable Yushui is already filled with killing intent. He will definitely die today. A palm strike from a 9 tribulation master of creation is enough to destroy heaven and earth. Even an 8 tribulation master of creation would be reduced to ashes. This guy will definitely not be able to withstand it. What a pity! Just a palm strike? Come on then. Chapter 1709. The inn was silent. His breathing was so weak that it was almost inaudible. Everyone looked at Ning Qi in a daze. He was about to receive Immortal Venerate Yushui's palm, but he was still so calm. Did he think that Immortal Venerate Yushui would show mercy? The 9 tribulation masters of creation had their own pride, and no one had ever heard of a 9 tribulation master of creation with such a good temper that he would secretly show mercy after the other party had already rejected his good intentions. Who did this guy think he was? Hu Qingzi looked at Ning Qi in disbelief. In her opinion, Ning Qi's acceptance of Immortal Venerate Yushui's invitation was the best choice. Immortal Venerate Yushui was silent for a while, then he got up and walked out of the inn. Just as everyone was puzzled, he struck out with his palm without looking back. The next moment, a loud sound was heard. Ning Qi was no longer on the table, but a huge hole had appeared on the wall behind him. What a strong control! Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. In that instant they felt an extremely terrifying aura, but that palm didn't affect any of them. He should be dead, right? Everyone looked at the hole silently, but Hu Qingzi reacted quickly. He turned into a stream of light and rushed through the hole in the wall, disappearing before everyone's eyes. Immortal Venerate Yushui had already left the inn after striking out with his palm. However, he had only taken a dozen steps when he stopped again, a trace of surprise flashing in his eyes. At that moment, a huge ravine had appeared outside the inn. The buildings that were originally on the ravine had all disappeared. Some cultivators stood beside the ravine in shock, a trace of lingering fear in their eyes. They had just happened to be standing beside the ravine, and those who were standing on the ravine had been smashed to pieces by an unknown object the moment the ravine appeared. What the hell is going on? What happened in the inn? Some of the cultivators cast their gazes towards the inn, while others flew towards the other end of the gully, wanting to see what had just flown out from inside. Eldest senior brother, let's go take a look. All right. Xiao Wuya and the others got up. When they arrived outside the inn, many cultivators had already been attracted by the commotion. Wait, she hasn't left yet. Xiao Wuya suddenly noticed this, and his face revealed a shocked expression. The 6 Fourth Tribulation Masters of Creation looked at each other, and an absurd guess rose in their mind. But the moment this guess appeared, it was immediately rejected by them. Impossible, when would a 9th Tribulation Master of Creation fail? The length of the ravine was at least 20 to 30 miles. It had already rushed out of the human camp and almost extended to the camp of the bloody carnage desolate domain. Inside the ravine, many snake demons flew out with cold faces, looking at the end of the ravine in shock and anger. They had already received the news that Shi Wuming had brought people to the human camp and suffered a loss. Therefore, they thought that the human camp was deliberately showing off their strength. There was a hill at the end of the ravine, but it was not a naturally formed hill. Instead, it was formed from the soil that was missing from the top of the ravine. In front of this hill, there was a wretched figure embedded in it. "Big brother, are you okay?" Hu Qing turned into a ray of light and landed in front of Ning Qi, looking at him nervously. At this moment, Ning Qi's clothes were already in tatters, revealing his strong muscles. However, his muscles were covered with dense blood-red cracks. As Hu Qing spoke, these blood-red cracks were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, Ning Qi's eyes slowly opened. He really didn't die? Xiao Wei and the rest arrived at the end of the ravine and happened to see Ning Qi's eyes open. Their faces were instantly filled with shock, and they gasped in their hearts. At this time, everyone sensed a faint aura coming from behind them. They quickly opened up a path and looked at Venerable Yu Shui respectfully. This person is... When the bloody carnage desolate domain cultivators saw immortal Yu Shui, their expressions changed slightly. Soon, some cultivators recognized immortal Yu Shui, and their eyes were filled with shock. City Lord of Jade Water City? Why is he here? Could he be here for Shi Wuming? Big brother, you're not dead. Seeing Ning Qi open his eyes, Hu Qing heaved a sigh of relief. His slightly red eyes immediately returned to normal. Boom! Ning Qi walked out from the hill behind him, and the hill fell to the ground, turning into a pile of rubble and powder. Patting Little Fox's head, Ning Qi looked at Immortal Venerate Yu Shui and smiled. Immortal Venerate Yu Shui, the strength of your palm is indeed powerful. You are indeed a nine tribulation creator. Even I was almost knocked out by it. Just that he almost lost his breath. Hearing this, everyone's expression became extremely strange. They looked at Ning Qi as if they were looking at a monster instead of a cultivator. A monster that could survive a palm strike from a nine tribulation creator. This guy. Where did he come from? When did such a genius appear in the central mainland? Who is he? The leading cultivators of the 6 great sects couldn't help but scream in their hearts. They couldn't figure out Ning Qi's background at all, but it was impossible for a cultivator as terrifying as Ning Qi to not have any fame in the central mainland. Faces flashed across their minds as they tried to compare Ning Qi with them, but in the end they still couldn't figure out Ning Qi's background. You are very good, Immortal Yu Shui said calmly. We will meet again next time. When that time comes, I will not hold back. With that, he turned and left. With just one step, he disappeared from everyone's sight. Phew, Ning Qi let out a long sigh of relief. Although he looked calm, only he knew that in his current state, he could at most take 3 palm strikes from Immortal Yu Shui before he died. His 1 yuan of health points had been reduced by a quarter. Ning Qi had the Dharma form of an immortal emperor, cultivated the imprisonment dragon elephant art, and had the ancient immortal godly ring. His physical defense had reached an extremely terrifying level. Even with such defense, his opponent had easily reduced a quarter of his health point. One could only imagine the huge gap between him and a 9 tribulation creator. Let's go. Chapter 1710. Trash. In the next 10 days, no cultivators dared to find trouble with Ning Qi and Hu Qingzi. Occasionally, they would see the two walking on the street, but those cultivators would avoid them, afraid of accidentally offending them and getting killed with a slap. Even Shi Wuming was beaten to the ground, and he could still survive a palm strike from Immortal Venerable Yu Shui. Such a monstrous existence they could not afford to offend, but they could at least avoid it. On the day when the realm of death was about to open, Many cultivators showed excitement in their eyes and walked to the entrance of the realm of death, waiting expectantly. More cultivators looked at the group of cultivators with pity and mockery. Every year, there would be new cultivators entering the realm of death full of expectations, imagining that they would obtain great opportunities inside and their cultivation would skyrocket. But dreams were beautiful, but reality was too cruel. After reaching the realm of death, these new cultivators would face the endless threat of death. Sometimes, cultivators who were originally friends would suddenly stab you in the back. Such things were not uncommon. However, when their eyes fell on Ning Qi, they were filled with awe. With Ning Qi's strength, as long as he did not die in the realm of death, he would definitely have some achievements. Perhaps it would not take long for his name to appear on the realm of death's combat power ranking. Big brother, we are finally going in. Now, we don't have to be afraid that the little witch will send people to kill us again. Hu Qingzi stood beside Ning Qi and said with a smile. Ning Qi smiled and did not reply. Not far away, in the camp of the Bloodnet desolate domain, countless eyes fell on Ning Qi, and one of them was the sharpest. As if he had eyes on the back of his head, Ning Qi suddenly turned his head and looked at Shi Wuming, who was staring at him, and said with a voice transmission, "What? Can't wait to kill me?" Humph. Shi Wuming let out a cold snort and didn't answer. Although he didn't see how Ning Qi survived a mortal venerable Yu Shui's palm strike that day, he was suspicious of Ning Qi's cultivation base once again through his subordinates' descriptions. A 4-tribulation creator definitely didn't have the strength to withstand a 9-tribulation creator's palm strike. Then, the truth was obvious. He was sure that Ning Qi had used some kind of method to conceal his cultivation base. After figuring this out, Lifeless Snake's mood suddenly lightened up, and he was once again filled with fighting spirit. However, he was convinced that he wasn't Ning Qi's match for the time being, so he could only coldly snort in response to Ning Qi's provocation. More and more cultivators arrived today, and not long after, thousands of cultivators had gathered at the entrance of the realm of death. Their strength was basically between the 1st and 4th Tribulation Masters of Creation, and only a few of them had reached the 5th Tribulation Masters of Creation. As for the 6th Tribulation Masters of Creation, there was not a single one among them. We're finally here. Hard work does not disappoint those who wait. 3 somewhat disheveled figures broke through the air, and when they saw the entrance of the realm of death, they almost cried tears of joy. Ning Qi glanced at the 3 of them with a slightly strange expression. Void Butcher, Zhang Qinghua, and Ji Kuei, these 3 fellows actually managed to arrive at this time? According to Ning Qi's judgment, even if they were extremely lucky on the way and didn't barge into some ancient forbidden land, they would at least need another 10 to 20 years to arrive here, right? They probably had some fortuitous encounter, Ning Qi smiled, and his attention shifted from the 3 to the arched door in front of him. At this moment, an inexplicable aura came from the arched door. The arched door that seemed to be made of ordinary stones suddenly had lines of deep blue patterns on it. These patterns looked like words and symbols at the same time, and they carried a trace of a simple and unadorned aura. Not long after, the huge arched door that spanned across 2 mountains was covered in these blue runes. The realm of death is about to open. Yeah, I heard that it's filled with fortuitous encounters. If we just grab 1 or 2 of them, we might be able to break through our current bottleneck. If we're lucky and befriend a few experts on the combat force ranking, we might even have a chance to cultivate under the impassable Godstone. I heard that every once in a while, the impassable Godstone will emit a mysterious force that will increase one's cultivation like a blessing. I'm really looking forward to it. Apart from a few people, most of the cultivators had looks of anticipation on their faces. At this moment, the blue patterns on the arched door began to emit a faint light. The light grew brighter and brighter, and finally, countless rays of blue light shot out from the arched door, intertwining to form a mysterious catalogue. It's open. When some of the older cultivators saw this scene, they could not help but reveal a trace of nostalgia in their eyes. A cultivator impatiently rushed into the realm of death, as if the first to enter would be the one to obtain some benefits. When the other cultivators saw this, they hurriedly followed. Just as that cultivator was feeling proud of himself and moved the fastest, just as he neared the mysterious catalogue, an arm suddenly reached out and grabbed that cultivator's neck. Following that, it was the shoulder, chest, and knees. A cultivator with a faint smile on his face walked out from the mysterious catalogue. The cultivator whose neck was being grabbed was struggling madly, but to no avail. A dignified three-tribulation creator was struggling like an ant in the other party's hand. This scene caused the group of cultivators that were following closely behind to immediately stop in their track. They did not dare to move forward rashly, and their eyes were filled with fear. Not long after, 7 figures walked out from the mysterious catalogue. When their gazes landed on the group of cultivators before them, there was a trace of faint mockery and a sense of superiority. Many cultivators had a trace of mockery in their eyes, and someone laughed softly. Every time the realm of death opens, there will be experts that want to leave the realm of death. They are the same as us, waiting at the entrance. Not waiting for them to come out first, they plan to rush in? Aren't they courting death? So that's how it is. That was close. Void Butcher and the other 2 looked at each other and hurriedly retreated. The other cultivators did the same, and they all sized up the 7 people before them with fearful gazes. Poochie, the cultivator that walked out from the mysterious catalogue, directly snapped the cultivator's neck and threw him aside like he was throwing trash. Following that, he looked at Ning-Chi and the others and let out a faint laugh. Hee, there are a few thousand people here. Nowadays, even trash dares to come to the realm of death. This guy. Many cultivators' eyes flashed with a trace of anger. They were naturally angry to be called trash, but they did not dare to show it. This was because the other party's cultivation was unfathomable to them. However, many people's gazes uniformly turned to Ning-Chi, and their eyes revealed a trace of anticipation. This scene was noticed by the cultivator. He looked at Ning-Chi with a grin. They are all looking at you. Are they planning to let you teach this arrogant guy a lesson? Chapter 1711. Attracting hatred just by standing. Am I attracting hatred just by standing here? Ning-Chi laughed at himself. This smile became a provocation in the eyes of the other party. It seems like you're a genius from some place, right? Are you interested in having a match with me? The other party looked at Ning-Chi with a faint smile. The other 6 fellows who walked out of the mysterious catalogue with him also had smiles on their faces. You guys didn't stay in the despair of death, because you couldn't survive in there anymore? Ning-Chi smiled. The eyes of the 7 people flashed with astonishment, followed by a trace of anger. The most arrogant guy didn't even conceal the killing intent in his eyes. Ning-Chi's words were like a knife that stabbed into their hearts. That was the truth. They indeed couldn't survive in the despair of death, which was why they chose to leave this place of sorrow. But they could think so themselves, but others saying it was humiliating them. How liberating! The nearby cultivators revealed a hint of a smile. Some of the cultivators who came late and didn't know much about Ning-Chi looked at him with a hint of a common enemy. You, come forward and die. The arrogant cultivator looked at Ning-Chi coldly and pointed at him. Oh, so you guys really ran back from the despair of death with your tails between your legs. You're angry, so you're taking it out on us? The smile on Ning-Chi's face grew wider. Go to hell. The other party couldn't bear it anymore. With a roar, his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Ning-Chi. The nearby cultivators hurriedly avoided him because the aura emitted from the other party was terrifying. It was an aura that only a 5-tribulation creator could possess. Moreover, there was a trace of extremely sharp and bloody killing intent coming from the other party. The surrounding air seemed to have become colder because of this. Puff! Ning Chi's palm struck his head, and before he could even react, his head was smashed into his stomach. His legs couldn't bear the force, and he knelt before Ning Chi with a bang. When Lifeless Snake saw this scene, he couldn't help but turn his head, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Some time ago, he had also been beaten to his knees by Ning Chi in this manner. However, compared to his opponent, he wasn't heavily injured. Right now, this 5 Tribulation Creator's head had already fallen into his stomach. Even if he could survive, he would need at least 100 years to recover. Hiss, many cultivators gasped, and the way they looked at Ning Chi changed drastically. They had just arrived a few days ago, and they had never heard of Ning Chi before. They didn't expect Ning Chi to be so powerful that even a 5 Tribulation Creator couldn't last a single round against him. "No, don't kill me." A terrified voice came from his stomach. Ning Chi looked down, and with a light kick, this guy disappeared from everyone's sight like a shooting star. At the same time, the system notification sounded, and Ning Chi received another 25 creation points. The other 6 cultivators who walked out from the mysterious catalog looked at this scene with their mouths agape. Even now, they couldn't believe what they had just seen. Compared to the guy who disappeared after Ning Chi's kick, their cultivation wasn't much stronger. They were all 5 Tribulation Creators, but they had stayed in desperate situations, experienced hundreds of life and death battles, and had some small fortuitous encounters. Whether it was battle awareness or battle techniques, they were much stronger than ordinary 5 Tribulation Creators in the outside world. If the two of them worked together, they were confident that they could fight against an ordinary 6 Tribulation Creator. But now, such an existence couldn't even last a single move in front of their opponent? Which place was this guy from? 9 Great Desolation Regions? 7 Great Sects? Come over here. Ning Chi waved at the 6 people with a smile on his face. The 6 of them felt a chill in their hearts. To them, Ning Chi's smile was like the Grim Reaper smiling at them. We didn't say anything. This has nothing to do with us, right?" One of them mustered his courage and asked Ning Chi. "You didn't say anything just now?" Ning Chi frowned and looked down at Hu Qing. "Big brother, they really didn't say anything just now." Hu Qing nodded. "Oh, I see." Ning Chi waved his hand angrily. "Get lost." Yes." Without another word, the 6 of them quickly left the place. Their faces no longer had the arrogance they had when they first appeared. They lowered their heads, and under the mocking and gloating gazes, they disappeared from everyone's sight. "Let's go." Ning Chi pulled Hu Qingzi towards the mysterious catalog. "Qinghua Ji Kue, let's follow them." Void Butcher reacted quickly. "That's not good." Zhang Qinghua frowned. At this time, Void Butcher had already moved. Seeing this, the 2 girls could only follow. However, they had some doubts in their hearts. Void Butcher was a little too thick-skinned. Only when Ning Chi and the others entered the mysterious catalog did the other cultivators dare to move. One by one, they entered the mysterious catalog. Not long after, there were only a few who didn't move. "Master?" A few cultivators from the Blood Puppet clan looked at Shi Wuming with inquiring eyes. "Let's go." Shi Wuming walked towards the mysterious catalog with a cold expression. After passing through the mysterious catalog, Ning Chi felt a chill sweep through his body. Then, the scene in front of him suddenly became clear. He and Hu Qing appeared in midair. When he turned around, Ning Chi did not see the arched door. He only saw the mysterious catalog in the void. The mysterious catalog should be something similar to a teleportation formation. In that case, it is very likely that the true location of this despair of death is another void. Ning Chi's eyes glinted. It didn't take long for thousands of people to gather behind him. Some of them found their own directions and soared into the sky. Some of them stayed where they were, looking around curiously. Some of them looked at Ning Chi hesitantly, as if they were looking for an opportunity to strike up a conversation. When Lifeless Snake appeared, he didn't even look at Ning Chi. He just soared into the sky with his people. Brother Xian Bei, we meet again. Void Butcher flew in front of Ning Qi and smiled. Hu Qing looked at him strangely and asked Ning Qi, Big brother, do you know this guy? Kind of. Ning Qi smiled and looked at Void Butcher. Brother Butcher, are you thinking about how to sell me out again? Not at all. Brother Xian Bei has misunderstood me. Void Butcher smiled sheepishly. Brother Xian Bei. Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kuei greeted Ning Qi. They looked slightly embarrassed. Chapter 1712. Chapter 1712. Chapter 1712 Demon. Void Butcher shamelessly flattered Ning Qi. He then suggested that he wanted to travel with Ning Qi, saying that they would be able to look out for each other in the face of death. However, Zhang Qinghua and Xue Moyan felt that Void Butcher was indulging in his wildest fantasies. How could Ning Qi possibly bring the three of them along when he had been so unscrupulous in the past? Brother Xian Bei, I won't retreat if there's any danger this time. After all, I only wanted to keep my life so that I could seize the opportunity here. Since I'm already in a hopeless situation, I, Void Butcher, won't act like I did before. Void Butcher looked at Ning Qi with a sincere expression and promised solemnly. All right, I'll trust you once more. Ning Qi nodded lightly. This, Zhang Qinghua and Zhang Qinghua looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. Did Ning Qi agree to take the three of them with him? Although they were very puzzled, the two women were still a little surprised. After all, the despair of death was rumored to be very dangerous. This danger came from all aspects. If they could stay with an expert like Ning Qi, they would definitely be much safer. Hu Qingzi glanced at Void Butcher, then at Ning Qi. A hint of suspicion flashed across her eyes. These three people's cultivation levels were so low. Even though they were three calamity masters of creation, she was confident that she could use all kinds of tricks to trick them. Wouldn't bringing these three people with her in a desperate situation be a burden to her? Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise came from the sky. Everyone looked up and saw a stone tablet appear out of thin air. There were a few large golden words on the stone tablet, and below those words were a series of smaller golden words. It's the Desperate Death List. Someone cried out in excitement. I heard that every time a cultivator enters the list, the combat power ranking will be updated. It looks like it's above our heads, but in reality, no matter where you are in the dire straits, you can clearly see the combat power ranking. I wonder who will be on the list this time. So this is the combat power ranking. Ning Qi's eyes moved slightly. There were a total of 50 names on the combat strength list. It didn't matter to Ning Qi and the other cultivators who had just arrived. They couldn't tell who was on the list. Ning Qi paused for a moment when he saw the 13th name. Demons. What a strange name. What a familiar name. It was as if a bolt of lightning flashed through Ning Qi's mind. He finally remembered why he felt this name was strange and familiar. The Netherworld cultivator who had tried to possess him was called Evil Azura. When Ning Qi condensed the Dharma idol of the 10,000 ancient immortal emperor, he had to rely on the essence of the evil Shura to prevent himself from being sucked dry. Thinking of Meng Tianshu's understanding of the Netherworld, and the name that was very similar to the evil Shura, Ning Qi was 70% to 80% sure that this guy was a cultivator of the Netherworld. Thinking of this, a cold light flashed in Ning Qi's eyes. Because of Wang Shui, he did not have a good impression of the Netherworld cultivators. Previously, when the Netherworld cultivators descended to capture the souls of those who died in his hands, Ning Qi basically killed them all at once. Big Brother, the top 50 of the combat power ranking are all 8 tribulation masters of creation, and they are the cream of the crop. One of them is even a senior of the Heavenly Fox clan. However, her bloodline isn't pure enough, so she doesn't have the qualifications to inherit the position of the Holy Fox. Otherwise, how could it be that little witch's turn? Hu Qingzi transmitted his voice to Ning Qi. Combat power ranking, Void Butcher, and the other cultivators had a look of envy in their eyes. Even when the stone tablet suddenly disappeared, they still did not come back to their senses. It was as if they were imagining that one day, they could also enter the top 50 of the combat power ranking. From then on, their names would be known throughout the world, and they would become the super experts of the Central Mainland, the 9 Wastelands, and the 3 Perilous Realms. Juzi, where do these experts on the combat power ranking usually stay? Ningqi transmitted his voice to her. My name is Qingzi. These experts' whereabouts are uncertain. Usually, they are either cultivating in seclusion or searching for opportunities in the Perilous Realms. However, if Big Brother wants to challenge them, you can wait until the Grand Gamble battle, that is held once every 10 years in the 3 Perilous Realms. I believe that the top 50 of the combat power ranking will appear then. This is because the winner of this battle will receive a huge amount of cultivation resources from the impassable Godstone. She paused for a moment. However, Big Brother, I heard that the top 50 of the combat power ranking will be blessed by the impassable Godstone. This blessing seems to be extraordinary. As long as they are in the Perilous Realms, their combat power will be 30% stronger than when they are outside. This is also the reason why many cultivators will resort to all sorts of methods, from sneak attacks to poisoning, just to kill an expert on the combat power ranking and enter the top 50 of the combat power ranking. A trace of worry flashed in Hu Qingzi's eyes. From her point of view, although Ningqi could defeat Chen Lisher, an expert who had once ranked in the top 50 of the Desperate Death Realm, he had already left the Desperate Death Realm many years ago. Without the blessing of the impassable Godstone and the peaceful days in Jade Water City, it was normal for his combat power to decline. Being able to kill Chen Lisher did not mean that Ningqi was a match for the cultivators in the top 50 of the combat power ranking in the Perilous Realms. Grand Gamble battle? Blessing of divine power? Ningqi nodded. Since they were already in the Perilous Realms, there was no need to rush. Raising his cultivation level and advancing to become a 5 tribulation creator was his first goal. Let's go. Ningqi smiled at Zhang Qinghua and randomly chose a direction to fly. Whether it was intentional or not, Ningqi chose the same direction as Shi Wuming. Wait for me, Brother Xianbei. After everyone left, Void Butcher finally reacted. A hint of anger flashed in the depths of his eyes, and he chased after them. It had been more than half a month since they arrived in the Perilous Realms. On average, Ningqi and his group would encounter a few groups of cultivators with bad intentions every day. Some cultivators pretended to ask for directions, but when they found out that they were newcomers, they immediately revealed their ferocious side and tried to rob them of their cultivation resources. Without exception, these people all died under Ningqi's blade. What made Ningqi feel strange was that this place was the same as the forbidden land of deities and ghosts. No underworld cultivators descended to reap their souls. Are there no good people in the Perilous Realms? One day, Ji Kuei could not help but ask. Void Butcher and Zhang Qinghua looked at each other, unsure of how to answer. Hu Qingzi, on the other hand, glanced at them disdainfully. When you're in the Perilous Realms, kill. When you kill enough people and gain the recognition of the impassable Divine Stone, you might suddenly advance to the top 50 of the combat power ranking. Even if you don't make it to the top 50, you might still gain the impassable Divine Stone's attention. At certain critical moments, its divine power will bless you and make you invincible. Do you understand now? When the others heard this, a look of realization flashed across their eyes. At that moment, Ningqi stopped in his tracks. Void Butcher looked puzzled. Just as he was about to ask Ningqi about it, Ningqi grabbed him by the neck and threw him forward. The scene in front of them suddenly changed. It was as if a mirror had been shattered. The originally lush and green surface of the ground had become a barren land that exuded a chilling aura. Formation. Someone is ambushing us. Chapter 1713. Chapter 1713. Chapter 1713 Shirgue Village. After Void Butcher broke through the formation, a dozen or so attacks suddenly landed on his body, instantly inflicting serious injuries on him. He let out a miserable howl. His face was swollen and bruised. Fortunately, he was an abandoned disciple of the Nine Phantasms' ancient temple, so his physical body was much stronger than ordinary cultivators. That was why he was not killed in one blow. More than 10 figures appeared around Tu Kong. They glanced at him indifferently and ignored him. Their gazes landed on Ning Qi and the others. The leading cultivator had cultivated some kind of cultivation technique. His face emitted a faint green glow, and he had dark circles around his eyes. His lips were purplish-black, and he had the aura of a fourth tribulation creator. The other cultivators were much weaker than him, but they were at least second tribulation creator, and 3 of them were third tribulation creator. He actually used me to break the formation. After calming down, Void Butcher's heart was filled with rage. No wonder Ning Qi had agreed to bring him along. As he thought of this, Void Butcher glanced at Ning Qi vaguely. His eyes were filled with murderous intent and hatred. "I'm Qing Gui from 10 Ghosts Village. May I know which village you're from, and how did you see through my formation?" The corners of the azure-masked cultivator's mouth curled into a faint smile. 10 Ghosts Village? Ning Qi smiled. "Your formation is too simple. I can see the energy fluctuations from it from hundreds of miles away. If you want to trick people, you should at least learn how to return to the natural state and hide the aura of the formation." Green Ghost sneered, and a hint of anger flashed in his eyes. His attainments and formations were famous in all the villages within a radius of 100,000 miles, but the other party actually said that his formations were too simple. Before entering the realm of death, he was a master of formations in the outside world. Many 5 tribulation masters of creation, and even 6 tribulation masters of creation, whose cultivation was higher than his, would come to him for help in setting up formations. The spirit-gathering formation that he had set up was 30% more effective than the most ordinary spirit-gathering formation. This seemingly very young cultivator actually dared to ridicule his array skills? "Brat, you don't know how powerful our Lord Green Ghost is. You actually dare to spout nonsense. I think you were just lucky and accidentally broke through this formation. Lord Green Ghost, kill this brat and bring these 3 women back. Especially this little girl, she looks white and tender. Kill her after you've played with her." "Jie jie jie," a burst of sinister laughter rang out. Everyone looked at Zhang Qinghua, Ji Kuei, and Hu Qing, their eyes filled with lust. No wonder Ning Qi had noticed that there were very few female cultivators along the way. About 1 in 10 male cultivators would appear. These fellows had been stuck in death's door for too long. Had their minds gradually become perverted? "I want this little girl. I smell a familiar scent from her body. She should be a woman from the Fox clan. She is of the highest quality." Green Ghost sneered and looked at Hu Qing greedily. Although Hu Qingzi was young, that was only in terms of the demon clan. Her actual age was much greater than that of an ordinary human girl. Naturally, she understood the meaning behind Green Ghost and the others' words. She looked at Ning Qi pitifully and said, "Big brother, these guys deserve to die." Ning Qi nodded with a smile. "I say, you," a cultivator beside Green Ghost pointed at Ning Qi with a hideous smile. Just as he was about to say something, a blade ray flashed, and his head separated from his neck. It fell to the ground. "Who the hell are you?" Green Ghost's face showed a trace of shock. From the moment the opponent attacked until the cultivator's head fell to the ground, he did not even have time to react. This kind of attack speed was too terrifying. The only explanation was that the opponent's cultivation level was higher than his. Most likely a 5 tribulation creator. Realizing this, a trace of fear flashed across Green Ghost's eyes. His mind quickly turned as he thought about how to escape from this place and save his own life. As for his subordinates, they could be used as sacrifices to buy him some time. Ning-Chi smiled at Green Ghost and did not speak. He slashed out again. Among the cultivators that Green Ghost brought, 2-3 tribulation creators died under Ning-Chi's blade. Green Ghost's face twitched. If he did not escape now, he might not be able to escape anymore. Thinking of this, he shouted, "Go! Kill him!" Yes. When the cultivators heard Azure Ghost shout, they all subconsciously attacked Ning-Chi. However, Azure Ghost turned into a ray of azure light and disappeared into the sky in the blink of an eye. Lord Green Ghost. The group of cultivators who had been betrayed by him showed horror and anger on their faces. Before they could open their mouths to beg for mercy from Ning-Chi, they had already been turned into a pile of minced meat under the saber radiance. "Big brother, one escaped," Hu Chengzi reminded. "Don't worry, he won't be able to escape." Ning-Chi smiled. 10 Ghosts Village. Obviously, Green Ghost was the leader of a village, so there must be more than a dozen creators in this village. Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kuei finally reacted. They quickly looked at Void Butcher and heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that he was not dead. Although the two of them felt that the things that Void Butcher had done to Ning-Chi were somewhat shameful, they had been with Void Butcher for a long time after all. They had some feelings for him. If Void Butcher had died just as he was about to die, the two of them would still be sad for a while. "Brother Xianbei, just now you," Void Butcher stood up from the ground and looked at Ning-Chi with a fake smile. "Just now, what did I do?" "Oh, Brother Void Butcher, don't misunderstand. I sensed that something was wrong just now and was afraid that you would be ambushed, so I threw you out. I didn't expect that I would hit the jackpot and break the enemy's formation. In fact, the formation was so well hidden that even I didn't notice it. I just felt a sense of danger." Ning-Chi smiled. "Is that so?" Void Butcher's eyes flashed with suspicion. "Let's go. Let's go to 10 Ghosts Village." Ning-Chi smiled. When Void Butcher saw this, he could only suffer in silence. He had no concrete evidence to prove that Ning-Chi had purposely set him up. 10 Ghosts Village. Green Ghost fled into the village in a panic. When the cultivators in the village saw this, they were confused. Didn't Lord Green Ghost bring people out to hunt? Why was he the only one who returned? And why was he in such a panic? Could it be that he had encountered an enemy that he could not defeat? 10 Ghosts Village was a medium-sized village within a radius of 10,000 miles. It was rather famous because this village was different from other villages. There were a total of 10 leaders who were on equal footing with each other. It was said that all 10 of them came from a heretical sect in the outside world, and they called themselves the 10 Ghosts. There were more than 300 villagers in the village. Their cultivation levels ranged from 1st to 3rd Tribulation Creator. "Junior Brother Green Ghost, why are you so panicked?" Chapter 1714. A Quest. "Senior Brothers, I ended up kicking a steel plate when I led the team to hunt. That guy's cultivation is very high. I'm no match for him." Green Ghost brought his fists together at the 9 cultivators with an unpleasant expression. However, he was already very lucky to be able to return to 10 Ghosts Village alive. It was a pity that the 3 tribulation creators he brought with him had probably died outside. Kicking a steel plate? Could that cultivator be a 5 tribulation creator? Which village is he from? A cultivator with a faint purple glow on his face said coldly. He was also one of the 10 ghosts. Due to the cultivation technique of his sect, he was called Purple Ghost. "I don't know which village he's from either," Green Ghost said softly. "Maybe he's a newcomer. It just so happens to be the opening of the Realm of Death." "Junior Brother Green Ghost, did you notice something behind you when you came back?" If he followed you back to 10 Ghosts Village, we'll have to be prepared. I don't think he's that bold, right? Even if he's a 5 tribulation creator, the 10 of us can still deal with him." We still have to be prepared. If we're not careful in the realm of death, I'm afraid we'll all die many years ago. Junior Brother Green Ghost is right. Pass down the order to be on guard. Also, activate the protective formation that Junior Brother Green Ghost has set up. During this period of time, we don't need to cultivate in seclusion. Tomorrow, the demonic lion village will send people to collect the tribute. At that time, tell them that after receiving the tributes of our 10 ghost village for so many years, we have to do something. Yes. Eldest senior brother. 10 ghost village is just ahead, right? I think they've activated some kind of formation. Brother Void Butcher, go knock on the door and ask them to let us in. Ning Chi's group walked along a small path on the mountain. Not too far away, a village appeared. The village was covered by a faint azure light, and a bird accidentally ran into it. It immediately let out a miserable shriek and turned into black smoke. Brother Xianbei, this formation is obviously very insidious. If I accidentally come into contact with it, I'm afraid. Void Butcher was slightly startled and his expression turned unpleasant. Didn't Brother Void Butcher say before that when you're in a hopeless situation and encounter danger, you'll face it head-on and not retreat? Could it be that Brother Void Butcher has forgotten what you once said? Ning Chi smiled. Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kue hesitated for a moment before looking at each other. Then Ji Kue whispered, Big Brother Xianbei, why don't I go and knock on the door? Let the men do this kind of thing. Ning Chi smiled. His gaze fell on Void Butcher, and a sharp glint flashed across his eyes. Void Butcher's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately felt a chill run down his spine. He glanced at Ning Chi in fear, then clenched his teeth and headed straight for 10 Ghost Village. He had come to a conclusion from Ning Chi's gaze just now. If he did not knock on the door today, it was very likely that he would be killed by Ning Chi in the blink of an eye. Damn it! He's taking revenge on me. No, I have to find a chance to escape from him. Void Butcher roared angrily in his heart. He was filled with regret. He had initially thought that Ning Chi was a good person. After all, they had spent a few months together in the market of the Waste Domain. After that, he had sold Ning Chi out several times, but Ning Chi had not expressed any dissatisfaction. Void Butcher thought that he could still use Ning Chi's tiger skin to increase his chances of survival when he was in a hopeless situation. However, he now realized that he was completely wrong. The other party was definitely not a good person. Listen up, people of 10 Ghost Village. My brother Xianbei is coming to claim your lives. Hurry up and remove the formation. Come out and face your death. Void Butcher stopped when he was about 100 feet away from the entrance of the village. A cold glint flashed across his eyes as he roared. He had purposely announced Ning Chi's name. If there was an expert in 10 Ghost Village who could exchange a few blows with Ning Chi, he would be able to seize the opportunity to escape. Even if there was no expert, if the village had some background, there would be cultivators coming to seek revenge based on Ning Chi's name in the future. Ha ha ha. Kid, you're still too inexperienced to fight me. I'll make you famous in this hopeless situation. Void Butcher laughed in his heart. A plan surfaced in his mind. As long as he went around flattering Ning Chi and raising his cultivation base and combat strength, he believed that it would not take long for the experts on the combat power ranking to come knocking on his door. Void Butcher's voice was very loud. When the cultivators in 10 Ghost Village heard his angry roar, a hint of surprise appeared in their eyes. They all turned to look at the huge, eerie cave in unison. Not long after, Green Ghost and the others walked out from the cave. From this place, they could see the surroundings of 10 Ghost Village, so they saw Void Butcher immediately. The cultivator you mentioned is this person? It's not him. This person is a 3 Tribulation Master of Creation with that guy. Apart from him, there are 3 other women. 2 of them are human female cultivators who are also 3 Tribulation Masters of Creation. I suspect that the last one is a female cultivator from the Fox clan, but she's only a one tribulation master of creation. Green Ghost's gaze penetrated the formation and landed on Void Butcher at the entrance of the village. He's indeed here. Brothers, what do you say? Let's see if he can break the formation first. Junior brother Green Ghost spent hundreds of years setting up this formation. Even a 5 tribulation master of creation would not be able to break it unless he's a 6 tribulation master of creation. The few of you, go to the eye of the formation and increase the power of the formation. Yes. The few of them flew to the eye of the formation while the others stood where they were. Although everyone had the same status, they still addressed each other as brothers. Therefore, the guy with a faint black glow on his face was the real decision-maker of 10 Ghost Village. He was also the eldest senior brother with the most experience and the most profound cultivation among the 10. However, he hated people calling him Black Ghost, so his nickname was Evil Ghost. At the entrance of the village, when Void Butcher saw that there was no response from 10 Ghost Village, he turned around and walked to Ning Chi's side. He put on a fake smile and said, "Brother Xianbei, they're not responding. Why don't you charge in and kill them with a single slash?" Ning Chi calmly stared ahead and ignored Void Butcher. Void Butcher let out a hollow laugh as a hint of hatred flickered in his eyes. Unbeknownst to the crowd, Ning Chi's attention was currently focused on the attributes panel, because the system had just given him a mission. Host, please lead 10 Ghost Village to become the top village within 100,000 li radius. If the mission is completed, the host will be rewarded with 5,000 creation points. If the mission is failed, 10,000 creation points will be deducted. This is a continuous mission. Once the first phase is completed, the host will automatically enter the second phase. Do you accept? Although this mission wasn't mandatory, it directly rewarded him with fortune points. This was Ning Chi's first time doing something like this. Accept. Chapter 17:15. Do you have any objections? While Ning Chi was checking the mission, Hu Qingzi had already gone up to test the 10 Ghosts Village's formation. She then walked back to Ning Chi's side with a sullen look on her face. The strength of the formation had exceeded her expectations. Big brother, I'm afraid that you won't be able to break this formation without the strength of a 6 tribulation creator. Hu Qingzi said. You guys wait here. Ning Chi smiled and walked toward the 10 Ghosts Village. Void Butcher's eyes flashed with a fierce look. He glanced at Hu Qingzi, then at Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kuei, and suddenly made a decision. Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kuei were already dissatisfied with him. It was obviously impossible for the 2 girls to leave with him, so he had to go alone. However, he was afraid that Ning Chi would catch up to him. In that case, he had to grab hold of something that would make Ning Chi fearful. Void Butcher's eyes flashed with a smile. With that thing here, let's see how you're going to find me. The cultivators in the 10 Ghosts Village looked at Ning Chi mockingly as he walked over. The 10 Ghosts Village had offended some powerful cultivators in the past, but without exception, none of them had been able to break through the village's protective formation. In the end, they had no choice but to leave helplessly. The cultivator in front of them would probably be the same as those guys. When he realized that he could not break through the formation, he would tactfully leave. This person is the 5 tribulation creator? Evil Ghost said calmly. His gaze fell on Ning Chi and he kept sizing him up. That's right. It's him. Green Ghost gritted his teeth as he looked at Ning Chi with a venomous look in his eyes. This time, Ning Chi had killed a few of his subordinates, greatly damaging his strength. His status in the 10 Ghosts Village would probably not be as good as before. It would take him many years to train up another batch of loyal subordinates. Green Ghost wanted nothing more than to tear Ning Chi to shreds on the spot, but the battle prowess Ning Chi had displayed just now made him feel a bit frightened. That blade technique was so fast that even he couldn't react to it. Such an existence, Even if the 10 of them joined hands, they might not have much of a chance of victory. This was something that the other 9 ghosts hadn't been present at that time, so they couldn't understand. What is this guy trying to do? You want to destroy our village's protective formation? A cultivator with a yellow glow on his face snickered. There was a hint of mockery in his laughter. It was obvious that he was very confident in the formation that Qin Gui had set up. Him? Unless he's a 6th tribulation creator, he won't be able to break the village's protective formation even if he stays here for 100 years. However, if he's really a 6th tribulation creator, Junior Brother Green Ghost won't be able to return to 10 Ghosts Village safely, right? One of the cultivators laughed sinisterly. That makes sense. Everyone chuckled. Green Ghost's expression was a bit ugly. He glared at the cultivator who had dug out his scar, then his gaze fell on Ningqi. For some reason, he should have been confident, but at this moment, he was a bit nervous. Just at this moment, everyone suddenly noticed that Ningqi had raised his head slightly. His gaze seemed to penetrate the array and landed on everyone's faces. Everyone was shocked. This person can see us? When the formation was activated, only those on the inside could see what was happening outside. However, it seemed like Ningqi knew where they were standing. Was this a coincidence, or while Sha Gui and the others were still in shock, Ningqi took out the god-slaying devil gourd. He smirked and lightly tapped the gourd. Immediately, a sea of demonic flames swept toward the 10 Ghosts village. The formation that was emitting a green glow did not even last a moment before it was destroyed. The cultivators who were caught in the formation felt something sweet in their throats before they spat out a mouthful of blood. What? Gasp! The villagers of the 10 Ghosts village all gasped as they stared at the scene in disbelief. Sha Gui and the others were even more shocked, their eyes filled with fear. The protective formation that they were so proud of was broken through so easily by the opponent? How was this possible? Back then, the 6 Tribulation Masters of Creation and a few other villages had attacked 10 Ghost Village, but they had all been stopped by this formation, unable to harm a single hair on 10 Ghost Village. Over the past few hundred years, the formation had been modified several times by Green Ghost, and its strength had increased significantly. Yet, it had been destroyed so easily. The opponent's cultivation, no. It's his spiritual equipment. Green Ghost refused to believe that Ningqi had the cultivation to destroy the formation. His eyes fell on the divine execution demonic gourd in Ningqi's hand. That gourd might be a supreme-grade spiritual equipment. A supreme-grade spiritual equipment. Evil Ghost and the others subconsciously showed a hint of greed in their eyes. After the formation was destroyed, the situation in 10 Ghosts Village was clearly visible to Ningqi and the others. Void Butcher's eyes fell on the divine execution demonic gourd, and his eyes flashed with uncertainty. Gourd Xianbei. Beixian? Ning Beixian? That's Ning Beixian? The guy wanted by the joyful demon sect? With a bang, Void Butcher came to a sudden realization. He finally knew Ningqi's identity. He was now 90% sure that Ningqi was the guy wanted by the joyful demon sect. If that was the case, many things could be explained. How could a cultivator like Ningqi be unknown in the past? Ha, I didn't expect you to be Ning Beixian. I heard that the joyful demon sect occupies 3 of the top 50 spots on the perilous land of Death's combat power ranking. If I spread this news, let alone the joyful demon sect, other cultivators will also attack him for the delightful demon gourd. A trace of coldness flashed across Void Butcher's eyes when he thought of this. However, he did not notice that Ningqi had seen it from the corner of his eyes. The corner of Ningqi's lips curled up slightly. He looked at Green Ghost and said with a smile, I told you that your attainments in formations are not good enough. Are you willing to admit it now? Green Ghost prided himself on being a formation expert. He did not care if his cultivation was low, but he could not tolerate the fact that his attainments in formations were not good enough. The anger in his eyes was like a volcano that was about to erupt. You're just taking advantage of the spiritual weapon. Without the spiritual weapon, there's no way you can break my formation with your cultivation. Green Ghost shouted angrily. Is that so? Ningqi smiled. Sir, I apologize on Junior Brother Green Ghost's behalf for offending you. However, you've already killed more than 10 cultivators of 10 Ghosts Village. Shouldn't we call it even? Why do you have to be so aggressive? Evil Ghost said slowly. He paused for a moment. May I know why you're here? From now on, 10 Ghosts Village will be my village. Do you have any objections? Ningqi said with a smile. Chapter 1716. Divine Power. This kid's target is the 10 Ghosts Village? The expressions of Sha Gui and the others changed drastically. This 10 Ghosts Village was something that they had painstakingly taken from someone else many years ago. Their goal was to attract the attention of the impassable God Stone and become a reserve cultivator on the combat force ranking, so that they could obtain the divine force of the impassable God Stone. Over the years, countless cultivators had plotted against the village, but all of them had died to their schemes. Eldest senior brother, we can't lose the village. If we lose it, we won't have a foothold here anymore. If our enemies find out about this, they won't let us go. That's right. I don't believe that the 10 of us Fourth Tribulation creators and the hundreds of other creators in the village are no match for this kid. He's just taking advantage of the spiritual weapon. As long as we keep him occupied, we'll definitely be able to kill him. Qing Gui said coldly. Cultivators of the 10 Ghosts Village, listen up. Kill this kid. Don't hold back. Sha Gui harumphed coldly. The cultivators of the 10 Ghosts Village looked at each other but did not make a move. Sha Gui's eyes flashed coldly. At that moment, a cultivator of the 10 Ghosts Village fell to the ground with a miserable howl. Blood gushed out of his orifices. In the blink of an eye, a First Tribulation creator had died in front of everyone. When the other cultivators saw this, a trace of fear flashed across their eyes. They had a forbidden technique on them. If they didn't listen to it, it could take their lives with just a thought. The technique Ningqi just showed was extremely terrifying, causing them to hesitate. In the end, their fear of the ferocious ghost prevailed. They roared and attacked Ningqi in unison. In order to save their lives and to kill Ningqi with a single blow, they unleashed their trump cards and showed no mercy. Such a terrifying attack caused Void Butcher and the others behind Ningqi to instinctively take a few steps back. Here's our chance. Void Butcher's eyes lit up. He grabbed Hu Qing and disappeared on the spot. They were so fast that even Zhang Qinghua and the other 2 girls did not have time to react. If it's villagers, a few people should be enough. Ningqi smiled faintly and gently patted the immortal-slaying demonic gourd. The fiery sea of demonic qi destroyed the joint attack of hundreds of creators like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Before the fiery sea of demonic qi, these creators couldn't even last a breath's time. They screamed and turned into ashes. In an instant, all the villagers in the 10 Ghosts Village were dead. Only the 10 murderous ghosts stood there dumbfounded, staring at Ningqi in disbelief. Seeing this scene, Zhang Qinghua and Li Xiandao were extremely excited. They knew that following Ningqi this time was definitely the best choice. Before coming to the desperate Death Realm, they had inquired about it in the market square of the Waste Domain. If they could destroy a small village in the desperate Death Realm and replace it, their chances of survival would be extremely high. They didn't know much about the specifics, but based on what Hu Qingzi had said, the 2 women realized that the so-called survival rate was probably the impassable Godstone's favor, attention, and blessing. Come. Ningqi beckoned to Evil Ghost and the others. Are you really going to kill all of us? After recovering from his shock, Evil Ghost's face darkened. The other 9 ghosts took a step back and stood behind Evil Ghost, glaring at Ningqi in shock and anger. Even if they won today, the 10 Ghosts village would be more or less destroyed. It would take them a long time to recruit another batch of villagers. You still have a trump card? Ningqi smiled. The baleful ghost's reaction made him feel a little strange. Logically speaking, he had destroyed the array formation and killed all the villagers in one strike, so the baleful ghost should have been scared shitless. But now, the baleful ghost had calmed down, and the other 9 ghosts seemed to be quite confident in him. This was enough to show that the baleful ghost probably had a way to turn the tables. I came to the desperate death realm 1,200 years ago. Over the years, countless cultivators have died in my hands. Evil Ghost spoke slowly, as if he was sighing about something. Ningqi did not disturb him. He just listened quietly. After that, I killed the original village chief of the 10 Ghosts village and made this place the territory of my senior and junior brothers. We slowly developed, and sure enough, the heavens do not disappoint those who are determined. More than 100 years ago, I was chosen by the Impassable Realm Stone and became a reserve cultivator on the combat force ranking. I was recognized by the Impassable Realm Stone, and my body was strengthened by divine force. At this point, a faint blue pillar of light suddenly descended from the sky and enveloped the ferocious ghost. At this moment, the aura on the ferocious ghost's body continued to rise. A mysterious aura different from the power of creation was emitted from his body. It's not the immortal chi, undead chi, demon chi, or the power of creation. So this is the power of the Impassable Realm Stone. The rules of the heavenly Tao here are really interesting. Ningqi squinted his eyes. Today, I'll show you the difference between a cultivator strengthened by divine force and an ant like you. I was planning to use this opportunity to shock everyone during the grand battle, but since you've made me waste this opportunity, I won't let you die so easily. As soon as the word go was uttered, Zhang Qinghua and Yanzhika cried out in surprise, because they saw Evil Ghost suddenly appear behind Ningqi. With a light tap, Ningqi's figure was sent flying like a cannonball. Nice! Qingue and the others yelled excitedly, their eyes filled with relief. The corner of Qigue's lips curled up. This state of invincibility was intoxicating to him. Unfortunately, he couldn't maintain this state for too long. Every time he used it, its power would be greatly reduced. However, it had been more than 100 years since he last used it. Therefore, the amount of divine energy he used this time would be extremely terrifying. Brother Xianbei? Zhang Qinghua and Yanzhika were shocked, unable to believe their eyes. At this moment, Evil Ghost's gaze fell on the 2 women, and a hint of ferocity flashed in his eyes. The 2 women were shocked and quickly backed away. Only then did they realize that Void Butcher and Hu Qingzi had disappeared. Where's the female cultivator from the Fox tribe? Evil Ghost appeared in front of the 2 women with a slight frown. He was already tired of playing with female human cultivators, but he had never played with a female cultivator from the Fox tribe. Fine, you won't be able to run far. Since you came with that guy, there's no reason for me to let you go. Follow me back to the 10 Ghosts village. The baneful ghost reached out to grab the 2 women. The 2 women revealed looks of despair. Just as the baneful ghost's hand was about to land on them, their bodies suddenly disappeared. Almost at the same time, a mountain in the distance was blown to smithereens. A mushroom cloud soared into the sky. Brother Xianbei. The 2 women were pleasantly surprised. Chapter 1717. Regret. What's going on? Qingue and the others stared dumbfoundedly at the mountain that had been razed to the ground in the distance. When the smoke dissipated, they saw Evil Ghost walking out of it in a sorry state. He was limping, and the white bone on his knee had broken through his skin and was exposed to the air. His right arm had also disappeared, and blood continuously dripped from the wound. Eldest senior brother has received the support of divine power. How is it possible that he still can't defeat that fellow? A trace of fear appeared in everyone's eyes. Sha Gui's strength was infinitely close to that of a five-tribulation creator, and for the past 100 years, he had never used his divine power. Now that he suddenly used it, the power brought about by the divine power should be enough to raise his battle prowess to the level of a 7 tribulation, or even the peak of it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have planned to amaze everyone in this big gamble. But the result before them made Green Ghost and the others feel endless fear. The evil ghost's gaze landed on Ning Qi, and his eyes flickered with terror. At this moment, there was a power he had never seen before that was recklessly attacking his meridians. It formed a stalemate with the divine energy in his body. Not only did the divine energy not gain the upper hand, but it also showed signs of collapsing. Even divine power can't deal with this person. Could he be an 8-tribulation creator? But why didn't he challenge the experts on the combat power list? Why did he come to 10 Ghosts Village? In the eyes of such an existence, 10 Ghost Village is nothing more than a small village. The evil ghost was inexplicably sad and indignant. Ning Qi ignored the baneful ghost and used his divine telekinesis to scan the area. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, there was no trace of Void Butcher and Hu Qingzi. Where did Zhu Zi and Brother Void Butcher go? Ning Qi turned to look at Zhang Qinghua and the other girl. We don't know either. We just realized that Big Brother 2 had disappeared, Ji Kuei said in a daze. Zhang Qinghua was lost in thought, then she suddenly raised her head. Her eyes were full of bewilderment. Seeing this, Ning Qi nodded to her. Zhang Qinghua then said with uncertainty, Brother Xian Bei, when we were in a hurry this time, we accidentally entered a forbidden area and were trapped inside. In the end, Brother Tu seemed to have found something and brought us out. Moreover, we appeared in the Heavenly Fox Desolate Domain. A teleportation-type spirit artifact A cold glint flashed across Ning Qi's eyes. It was not a coincidence that Void Butcher and Hu Qingzi had disappeared at the same time. When Ning Qi realized that Void Butcher seemed to have recognized the Celestial Execution demonic gourd, he had planned to use Void Butcher to spread the news. Then, as long as he sat there would be an endless stream of cultivators coming to him. However, Ning Qi did not expect Void Butcher to make the first move and seize the opportunity to leave. He even took Hu Qing away with him. The little fox is a little weird. Void Butcher's intelligence is slightly lower than hers. Furthermore, the little fox is the descendant of one of the heavenly foxes. She must have some trump cards on her, so I don't have to worry about her safety. Thinking of this, Ning Qi's body moved slightly and appeared in front of the dumbfounded evil ghost. He looked at him indifferently. Divine power blessing, huh? Interesting. That attack of yours is at least at the level of a 7 calamities creator. As senior, this lowly one was blind to have offended senior. Please spare this lowly one. If senior takes a liking to the 10 Ghosts Village, feel free to take it. I believe that once senior obtains the 10 Ghosts Village, you will definitely be acknowledged by the impassable Godstone and receive its divine power. Evil Ghost endured the pain in his knees and knelt in front of Ning Qi. He kowtowed and begged for mercy. When Qing Gui and the others saw this, their faces turned ashen. At this point, the 10 of them had been utterly defeated. There was no way they could make a comeback. Whether they could leave this place alive depended on whether the other party would let them live or not. All right, I'll spare your life this time. Ning Qi smiled. Evil Ghost stared at Ning Qi with his mouth agape. His eyes were filled with disbelief and a deep sense of regret. This was because he had taken the opportunity to attack Ning Qi. In his hand was a jet-black dagger that was surrounded by an endless aura of death. This was Evil Ghost's true trump card. The Death Blade that was refined from the blood sacrifice of millions of living beings. Although it was only a middle-grade spiritual weapon, as long as it was scratched, Even an 8 calamities creator would be invaded by the mutated aura of death and lose the ability to fight on the spot. Why did he let me go? Murderous Ghost maintained his stabbing posture as he glared at Ning-Chi with grief and indignation. The dagger was only an inch away from Ning-Chi's chest, but it couldn't move any further. His body was suppressed by that mysterious power, and he couldn't move at all. If he had known that Ning-Chi would let him go, he would have just obediently admitted defeat. Desperate, right? You've given up your only chance to live. Ning-Chi looked at Evil Ghost with a faint smile. No, that's not right. You already knew that I would make a move. You were playing with me on purpose. Evil Ghost reacted and let out an unwilling roar. 9 flames deluo palm. Ning-Chi's palm landed on Evil Ghost's head. Apart from the jet-black dagger, Evil Ghost's entire body turned into a pile of ashes. He was completely dead. This dagger is very evil. It might be of some use at a critical moment, but it's not very useful to me. Ning-Chi looked at the dagger and put it into his spatial bag. Then, he found that 10 Ghosts' village was empty. Green Ghost and the others had already fled when Evil Ghost's counterattack failed. Ning-Chi's figure disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, about 15 minutes had passed. He waved at Zhang Qinghua and the other 2 girls and walked into 10 Ghosts' village. Those guys should have been killed by Brother Xianbei, right? Maybe. The 2 girls looked at each other and guessed in their hearts. After entering 10 Ghosts' village, Ning-Chi paused for a moment and slowly closed his eyes. The 2 girls looked at the blue light pillar that was extremely similar to the one that fell from the sky on Evil Ghost and enveloped Ning-Chi. Is this the blessing of divine power? A ray of light flashed in his eyes. When the blue light pillar fell on him, there was a mysterious power in his body that flowed through his meridians. This power seemed to have an inexplicable connection with something in the sky. This feeling was extremely mysterious. Ning-Chi's divine telekinesis tried to trace the source of this connection, but he realized that he could not grasp this mysterious feeling at all. Impasse divine stone? The heavenly Tao rules? Ning-Chi's eyes flashed with doubt. There were many secrets in the impasse of death. Could it be that the reason why the Evolution Celestial Emperor did not include this place in his territory was related to the 3 great impasse? At the same time, tens of thousands of miles away from 10 Ghosts' village. You, what do you want to do to me? Hu Qingzi looked at Void Butcher in fear. Don't be afraid. I don't like you. I only captured you to make Ning Beixian hesitate. As long as you follow me obediently, I won't hurt you. Do you remember? Void Butcher said coldly. Ning Beixian? I remember. Chapter 1718. Chapter 1718. Cloud Rising Village, Big Brother Xianbei, there are only the 3 of us in this village. Should we recruit some villagers? Zhang Qinghua asked. The villagers of 10 Ghosts' village had all died at Ning-Chi's hands. There were only 3 people left in such a huge village. It didn't look like a village at all. Who said it's only the 3 of us? Ning-Chi revealed a mysterious smile. He paused. This village will be called Cloud Rising Village from now on. Yes. The 2 girls nodded. Curiosity flashed in their eyes. Were there other people in this village besides the 3 of them? It was not until the next day that the 2 women understood what Ning-Chi meant. Beside Ning-Chi stood an elegant and beautiful woman. She held Ning-Chi's arm intimately and looked into the distance. 2 female cultivators stood behind them. They seemed to have heard Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kuei's movements. They glanced at them and nodded with a smile. Young master, the rules of the perilous land of death aren't bad. The strong prey on the weak, survival of the fittest. There are also many opportunities hidden here. It seems like our chance to break through to the Creator Realm lies here. Little Yuer and Zhua Ling walked over together, with Nvaiwa following behind them. Last night, Ning-Chi had asked Nvaiwa to collect detailed information about the nearby villages and conveniently share the information he had obtained with Nvaiwa. Therefore, after learning from Nviwa what kind of existence the impasse of death was, the two of them were a little excited. This was a place where cultivators should stay. You've missed a few thousand years. You really need to catch up on your cultivation. But before you break through to the Creator realm, don't leave Cloud Rising Village. Understand? Ning Qi smiled. Little Yuer and Zhuo Ling nodded at the same time. Their eyes were filled with confidence. With their talent, it wouldn't take long for them to break through to the Creator realm. In terms of talent, Ning Qi's talent had only increased after he formed the Dharma form of the Immortal Emperor. Before that, Ning Qi's talent wasn't as good as the two girls. He only relied on the system to surpass others and break through realms. Young master, the palace is ready. Hua Lang flew across the sky and landed in front of Ning Qi. In just one night, a huge house had been built in Cloud Rising Village. The facilities inside were all modern, and Hua Lang was only a supervisor. The huge house was built by the engineering robots on Nuwa. Not bad. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. At first, Ning Qi only wanted to complete the mission. But later on, he thought that this place was suitable for little Yuer and the others to cultivate. The realm of death did not have any 9 tribulations creator, so Happy Demon Venerable and the others would not dare to step into this place. Although cultivators often killed each other and different races fought each other, it was safer here compared to the outside world. Nuwa, have you sent scouting robots to search the nearby villages? Ning Qi asked. We've scouted everything within a 30,000-kilometer radius, and we've received feedback that aside from our Cloudrise village, there are a dozen other villages that are similar to ours. As for places further away, it'll take some time. Right now, there are 2 cultivators coming together from a few thousand kilometers away from our village. Based on their route, they should be heading for our Cloudrise village. Nuwa smiled sweetly. Evil Ghost, it's time to pay tribute. Why don't you send the tribute out personally? Do you want us to go in and get it? A loud sound came from afar. 2 figures landed outside of Cloud Rising Village. Both of them emitted the aura of a 3 tribulations creator, but they did not enter the village. Instead, they looked at the original 10 ghost village with uncertainty. When their gazes landed on Ning Qi, a hint of doubt flashed across their eyes. So many female cultivators. Did the 10 Ghosts village catch another batch of newcomers recently? Tisk tsk, they're all very beautiful. When their gazes landed on little Yuer and the others, they were attracted. Greed flashed in their eyes, and they entered the village without hesitation. Soon, they arrived in front of Ning Qi and the others. Where's Evil Ghost? Call him out. We'll add more tribute this time. Just these 2 women. I want that one too. One of them casually looked around and pointed at little Yuer and Zhuo Ling. After hesitating for a moment, he pointed at Sacred Concubine Cold Sky. Although little Yuer and Zhuo Ling's enchanting aura were stronger than Hu Qing and Fairy Fox that Ning Qi had seen before, Sacred Concubine Cold Sky's beauty was not inferior to the 2 women. When the 2 cultivators saw her, their eyes almost popped out of their socket. Fang Qin and Fang Shu looked at the 2 coldly, and a trace of mockery flashed across their eyes. Which village are you 2 from? Ning Qi smiled. What nonsense are you spouting? Don't you know which village I'm from? Are you trying to play dumb with me? Hurry up and call Evil Ghost out. The other person glanced at Ning Qi coldly, and a trace of impatience flashed across his eyes. The other cultivator walked toward little Yuer with a smile, and reached out for little Yuer's chin with a claw. However, with a flash of a blade, half of his shoulder fell to the ground, revealing a broken corner and a beating heart. Only then did the cultivator let out a miserable howl, and looked at Ning Qi with eyes that were about to pop out of their sockets. The other cultivator immediately took a few steps back and shouted at Ning Qi, "What are you doing? Is your 10 Ghosts village rebelling? 10 Ghosts village? You 2 must have come to the wrong place. This is Cloud Rising Village. Ning Qi smiled. What cloud-rising village? The two looked at each other. The cultivator who had half his shoulder chopped off was slowly recovering with the help of the power of creation. His face was pale and he looked around. They were sure that they had not come to the wrong place. This was 10 Ghosts' village. This is 10 Ghosts' village. Hurry up and call Evil Ghost out. If you don't explain what happened today, all the cultivators of 10 Ghosts' village will not be able to leave the village in the future. Evil Ghost? They're all dead. If you want to talk to him so badly, go down and see him. Ning Qi smiled. With a flash of the blade, the cultivator was instantly torn into pieces and died on the spot. When the cultivator who had half his shoulder chopped off saw this, his eyes were filled with fear, and his legs turned to jelly as he knelt on the ground with a thud. Which village are you guys from? Ning Qi looked at him kindly and said with a smile. I am from Demon Tiger Village. If you kill us, the village chief will definitely not let you off. The cultivator was terrified. How's the cultivation of your village chief? Ning Qi smiled. The cultivator's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise, and he hurriedly said, 5 Tribulation Creator. The village chief is a 5 Tribulation Creator. Solo? Go to hell. Pft. Chapter 1719. Chapter 1719. Chapter 1719. After dealing with the 2 cultivators of the Demon Tiger Village, Ning Qi let Little Yue and the others go back to cultivate. Not long after, the Demon Tiger Village realized that the 2 of them had not returned, so they would definitely send more people over. Ning Qi planned to start with the Demon Tiger Village first, then clear out the villages within a radius of 30,000 miles, and finally clear out the villages within a radius of 100,000 miles, making Cloud Rising Village the number 1 village within a radius of 100,000 miles and completing the first stage of the mission. Right now, Ning Qi's fortune points were already close to 20,000. Perhaps after completing the mission, he would be able to touch the 30,000 mark. At that time, it wouldn't be long before he could advance again. With a thought, Little Six appeared beside Ning Qi. This place is the realm of death? As soon as Little Six appeared, his nose twitched and he looked at Ning Qi in surprise. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. Little Six subconsciously looked up at the sky. Ning Qi found that Little Six, who was usually fearless, seemed to have an inexplicable look of fear in his eyes. Little Six, what's wrong? Is there something strange about this place? Ning Qi asked curiously. Boss, this place isn't strange, it's terrifying. Even if I was at my peak, I wouldn't have come here if I could. Little Six said with a strange expression. Why? Ning Qi was curious. No matter what, Little Six was the true ruler of the central continent. Although his position had been taken away by the Dao Yen Immortal Emperor, his strength back then should have been extremely strong. At the very least, he should not be weaker than the current Dao Yen Immortal Emperor. Why would he feel that the realm of death was terrifying? This place is the same as the Immortal Prison. It follows a different heavenly Dao law from the central continent. If that was all, I wouldn't think much of it. After all, no matter where you go, the heavenly Dao law will be strong and weak, and the strongest heavenly Dao law will be in the Immortal Continent. However, the heavenly Dao law here is very strange, as if someone has always been controlling it. I suspect that the heavenly Dao law here was moved here by a supreme being with some sort of great divine ability. Little Six said with a serious expression. After a pause, he said, Boss, I feel that you have a power that is different from the immortal Qi. It must be the so-called divine power of the realm of death, right? That's right. Ning Qi nodded. I tried to trace the source of this divine power with my divine thoughts, but I didn't find any clues. Of course, even when I was at my peak, I couldn't find any clues and was almost killed by the impassable realm divine stone of death. Little Six said with lingering fear. Obliterated? Ning Qi's expression was slightly strange. At that time, no matter how weak I was still at least an existence at the great circle of the worldly immortal stage. I was half a step away from becoming an earthly immortal, and I was invincible in this world. However, I was still heavily injured by the impassable divine stone here, and only after recuperating for over 10,000 years did I manage to catch my breath. Do you know how many moves the impassable divine stone used? Just one move. Little Six shook his head. So powerful, human immortals and earth immortals were the cultivation levels of the immortal realm. Little Six was at the peak of the human immortal realm, so he should be several times stronger than the 9 tribulations masters of creation, but he still couldn't withstand a single strike from the impassable God stone? Could it be that this stone was evolved from the heavenly Tao? I finally know why the 9 tribulations masters of creation didn't dare to set foot in this place. It turns out that they were afraid of the impassable God stone. Realization flashed in Ning Qi's eyes. But it's good that you came here. That Dao Yin guy, even if you gave him 10 guts, he wouldn't dare to come here. He's a very cautious guy, or rather, afraid of death. You can stay here and cultivate until you become an 8 tribulations master of creation, but when you want to break through to the 9 tribulations, it's best to leave the impassable Godstone. All the 9 tribulations masters of creation who broke through in the impassable Godstone have disappeared. I suspect that they were moved to another world, maybe to ruins, maybe to a battlefield. No one knows what the purpose of the impassable Godstone is. Little Six sneered, as if he was still brooding over almost dying under the impassable Godstone. Even you can't find out the secret behind it, so we don't need to think about it now. Its existence is reasonable, and anyway, it didn't leave the impassable Godstone to cause trouble in the outside world. Today, I called you out because I want to ask you about Little Violet and the others. I sensed an unusual aura some time ago. Did they make a breakthrough? Ning Qi smiled and said, "Hee, you asked the right person. Second brother and the others are quite talented. It's not a waste of my energy to invest in them." Little Six said with a proud smile. "You're already a creator?" Ning Qi was slightly delighted. "Boss, see for yourself." Little Six smiled, and in the next moment, several figures appeared in front of Ning Qi. At the same time, even the Saint Concubine and the others felt the unusual aura, and they all walked out and looked at Ning Qi. A pair of purple wings was tightly folded, and then slowly unfolded. This pair of wings was more than 10 zhang long, and each feather was flickering with a faint lightning. When the wings opened, a graceful and beautiful figure was revealed. Her delicate skin was snow-white, and her light purple hair hung down to her chest. Her eyes slowly opened, and a hint of surprise flashed in them. In the next moment, this graceful and beautiful figure rushed into Ning Qi's arms. Ah! Little Yuer looked at this scene angrily. She should be Bei Xian's earliest demonic pet, the purple lightning bird? The Saint Concubine was not too sure. This is the aura of a 6 tribulation creator. An existence of the immortal king level. Zhang Qinghua and Yuer looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They had always thought that Ning Qi was a lone ranger, but now that there were more people around him, could it be he's been maintaining the creation realm? Keeping people in it? But even we can only maintain the creation realm for an hour at most, and then we have to meditate and rest. I heard that even a 9 tribulation creator can't maintain the creation realm for 24 hours straight. The 2 girls were truly shocked, and they had a deeper understanding of Ning Qi's strength. "Oh, alright. Ning Qi plucked Ning Zi from his body and sized her up carefully. He couldn't help but give Little Six a thumbs up. His advancement speed could be considered abnormal, but Little Purple's advancement speed was definitely a bug-level existence. How long had it been since they last met, and she was already a 6 tribulation creator? Other than Little Z, there was also a white-robed youth, a yellow-haired boy, and a chubby boy, who was smiling at Ning Qi with a smirk. Little White, Little Gold, and Little Fatty have all become 6 tribulation creators? Ning Qi looked at the 3 of them in a daze. He, spiritual cultivation pill, spiritual cultivation pill. Chapter 1720. Chapter 1720. Demon Tiger, here. Ning Qi took out a pile of spirit-raising pills from his space bag, which he hadn't touched for a long time. Seeing this, Fatty Ning immediately gobbled them up with a look of enjoyment. Spirit-enhancing pills were no longer helpful to Fatty Ning's current cultivation. From this, it could be seen that Fatty Ning was just greedy. Little White and Little Gold had no interest in spirit-enhancing pills at the moment. Beixian, they are, Saint Consort Cold Sky walked to Ning Qi and nodded to Ning Zi and the others with a smile. Let me introduce them. Ning Qi smiled faintly and introduced himself. The Saint Concubine and the others had heard from Zhang Long and Zhao who that Ning Qi had a violet lightning bird, but they had never seen it in person. Who would have thought that Ning Qi had already become a 6 tribulation creator? In the outside world, he would be an existence of the immortal king level. Little Gold, is that the dragon-seeking mouse that the unruly princess gave you? When the Saint Concubine's gaze fell on Goldie, she suddenly froze. When Ning Qi had first arrived in the White Tiger Empire, and offended by how Fang Qin and Fang Shu had given her detailed information on Ning Qi, she remembered that Ning Qi had a dragon-seeking mouse with him. That dragon-seeking mouse? Fang Qin and Fang Shu had strange looks on their faces. Back then, that dragon-seeking mouse was of an extremely low level, while they were already existences at the Grandmaster realm. They could easily squash it to death. But now the other party had become a 6 tribulation creator. The disparity between them caught the 2 girls off guard. Yes, it is him. Ning Qi smiled and rubbed the golden fur on Goldie's head. Goldie immediately bared his teeth and had a look of enjoyment on his face. He glanced at Ning Bai and Fatty Ning proudly. Ning Bai glanced at him disdainfully and stood aside coldly. Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kuei suddenly felt that Ning Bai's combat power was the strongest among them. In fact, Ning Bai's original body was a wind-chasing horse, an extremely ordinary demon beast. His racial bloodline was many times lower than that of Ning Zi and the others. A normal wind-chasing horse could at most break through to the 3rd rank and could no longer grow. It was because of Ning Qi and Little Six that he could break through the shackles of the origin again and again. However, among the few of them, he had the lowest IQ and could not express too many emotions. That was why his face was cold. Perhaps Zhang Qinghua and Little Six would never know this truth in their lifetime. Now that this fellow has become a 6 tribulation creator, he probably won't like dragon poop anymore. Ning Qi couldn't bear to watch the scene of Xiao Jin jumping into the dragon poop and gorging on it. From now on, you guys will be in charge of this place. If anyone comes to make trouble, don't kill them. Just knock them out and bring them to me. If I'm not in the village, keep them until I come back, understand? Ning Qi smiled at Ning Zi and the others. Yes, boss. Except for Fatty Ning, who just nodded crazily and couldn't speak because his mouth was full of spirit cultivation pills, Ning Zi and the others all answered in unison. Devil Tiger Village. Chief Devil Tiger stood in the middle of the village, sorting out the tributes collected by his subordinates from the various villages. From time to time, a trace of satisfaction could be seen on his face. Before coming to the impasse of death, Devil Tiger was just a rogue evil cultivator. He had to face the pursuit of those righteous cultivators all day long. In the end, he offended the Alchemist Alliance and was forced into a corner. He chose to go to the impasse of death. Along the way, he experienced many hardships and almost died halfway. Fortunately, his luck was extremely good, and he successfully came to the impasse of death. In the first few years, Devil Tiger had a hard time. He was kidnapped and became a slave in the mine. He was even captured by a female cultivator from the joyful demon sect 4 dual cultivation, 400s of years. He was almost crippled. Only then did he find an opportunity to kill that female cultivator and absorb all the essence in her body. Therefore, Devil Tiger truly gained a foothold in the impasse of death. After that, Devil Tiger's luck seemed to get better and better. In a short period of 400 to 500 years, he broke through from a 3 tribulation creator to a 5 tribulation creator. He had a chance to become an immortal king. He founded the Devil Tiger village and was chosen by the Impasse God Stone as a reserve cultivator. From Mohu's point of view, his days in the future would be even better. However, he also knew his limit. His limit was the 6 tribulation creator realm. Once he reached this realm, he probably wouldn't be able to break through anymore. Therefore, he had already made up his mind. Once he reached the immortal king realm, he would leave this place of death and seek revenge on that alchemist who forced him into a dead end. From then on, he would be free and unfettered in the outside world. Why does it seem to be less than before? Devil Tiger, who was good at calculating, frowned. His eyes emitted a trace of coldness as he glanced at his subordinates, who had a look of fear on their faces. Which one of you took everything for yourself? Stand out now. Don't wait for me to drag you out. At that time, you can imagine what kind of ending you will face, Devil Tiger said with a cold face. Devil Tiger's subordinates knew him very well. Their village chief was a person who could not bear even the slightest loss. If no one stood out and surrendered themselves today, everyone would be implicated. Thinking of this, everyone looked at each other. Just as Devil Tiger was about to lose his patience, one of them exclaimed in surprise, "Village chief, the tribute is not taken by someone else, but the people who went to 10 Ghosts Village are not back yet. What they are missing is the tribute from 10 Ghosts Village." Not back yet? This place is only 30,000 miles away from 10 Ghosts Village. 4 to 5 days should be enough for a round trip, right? They have been gone for a full 7 days. Why aren't they back yet? Devil Tiger said coldly. Perhaps they met with something on their way back? Someone said in a low voice. No matter what, I am going to the Deity Sea Village to pay the tribute. Which one of you will go to 10 Ghosts Village and bring those 2 people back for me? Devil Tiger laughed coldly. Soon, 2 fourth tribulation masters of creation volunteered and flew toward 10 Ghosts Village. Another few days passed, and the crowd realized that the 2 fourth tribulation masters of creation still hadn't returned to Devil Tiger Village within the stipulated time. Only now did the crowd realize that something was amiss. I want to see who dares to provoke me, the Devil Tiger. Gather everyone and head to 10 Ghosts Village. The demonic tiger let out an angry roar and soared into the sky. The cultivators of the demonic tiger village roared as well. One after another, they soared into the sky and stood behind the demonic tiger. There were more than 500 cultivators, 1 to 200 more than the 10 Ghost Village. Moreover, the quality of the cultivators was also very high. There were more than 24th tribulation creators. The rest were all 3 tribulation creators and 2 tribulation creators. Basically, there were no 1 tribulation creators. Devil Tiger looked in the direction of 10 Ghosts Village and sneered. Then, he led the 500 cultivators of Devil Tiger Village and turned into a black light that swept towards 10 Ghosts Village. Not long after, Devil Tiger and the others landed at the entrance of 10 Ghosts Village. In front of them was a young man in white with his back facing them. Chapter 17:21. Fatty, come out and receive the guests. 10 Ghosts Village. How dare you? Mohu's eyes were filled with anger. He let out a low roar that echoed throughout the village. However, when the villagers heard Mohu's roar, they didn't care at all. They continued doing what they were doing and ignored Mohu. After all, Little White was outside. Shoo, be quiet. Xiaobai turned around and looked at Mo Hu and the others in dissatisfaction. He frowned slightly on his grave and stern face, as though Mo Hu's roar had interrupted his thoughts. "How dare you!" The cultivators of the Demon Tiger Village could not help but roar. What a joke! How dare a trashy village like Ten Ghosts Village act so arrogantly in front of them? Are you guys here to cause trouble for Cloud Rising Village? Xiaobai frowned. Cloud Rising Village? Mo Hu was stunned. He reached out his hand to stop his angry subordinates and looked at Xiaobai coldly. This is Ten Ghosts Village. Where did Cloud Rising Village come from? Ten Ghosts Village is gone. This is Cloud Rising Village now. Little White looked at Mo Hu very seriously, as if afraid that he would not believe her. She walked to Mo Hu's side and pointed at the scenery of Cloud Rising Village. Look, the scenery of Cloud Rising Village is different from the Ten Ghost Village you knew, right? Trust me, this is Cloud Rising Village now. You! Mo Hu looked at Xiaobai strangely. Xiaobai was less than 5 feet away from him. One punch and Xiaobai would be dead for sure. How dare Xiaobai get so close to him? Go to hell! One of Mo Hu's subordinates snorted and threw a punch at Xiaobai. This cultivator was a 4-calamity creator and was standing close to Xiaobai. In the blink of an eye, his fist had reached Xiaobai. However, it hit thin air. Xiaobai took a step to the side and said to Mo Hu, "My boss has a bad temper. Are you guys from the Demon Tiger Village?" "That's right. I'm the chief of the Demon Tiger Village. Since Ten Ghosts Village has been destroyed, get your chief here and we'll have a good talk. Not only did you refuse to give us tributes, you even forced the cultivators of the Demon Tiger Village to stay here. If you don't give me a satisfactory answer today, I'll turn your Cloud Rising Village into a river of blood." Mo Hu said coldly. "Fatty, come out and receive the guest. 1, 2, 3, 536 pillars." Xiaobai shouted towards the village. Receiving guests? Before anyone could react, they suddenly felt a terrifying and undisguised aura coming from the village. With a boom, a fatty who looked to be around 12 or 13 years old descended from the sky. On his back were several pillars, just like the 2 cultivators from Devil Tiger Village were hanging on the pillars. Puff, puff, puff. With a few effortless movements, the pillars were inserted into the ground. Then, with a slight movement of the little fatty's body, he disappeared from where he stood. The next time he appeared, there was a large pile of pillars on top of his head. Roughly counting, there were 500 or 600 of them. These 500 or 600 pillars were like javelins. They shot out and landed in front of the Devil Tiger Village. Whoosh, 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 hundreds of pillars were inserted into the ground, neatly arranged in front of the Devil Tiger Village. Spirit-raising pill. Fatty Ning landed in front of Xiaobai and laughed foolishly. Take it. Eat sparingly. Boss isn't home. Looks like I'll have to learn how to refine spirit-raising pills to feed a foodie like you." Ningbai took out a spirit-raising pill and carefully placed it on Fatty Ning's palm. Fatty Ning stared at it blankly, as if he couldn't believe it. "Are you done acting?" The Devil Tiger Village finally couldn't take it anymore and let out an angry roar. Puff. Fatty Ning slapped at the Devil Tiger Village furiously. The Devil Tiger Village couldn't react in time and was knocked unconscious by the slap, falling to the ground. "Be gentle. Boss said not to take his life. He'll deal with it when he comes back." Ningbai was shocked. He quickly took out a few more spirit-raising pills and handed them to Fatty Ning. Fatty Ning's furious expression slowly faded. The rest of the Devil Tiger Village cultivators stood there, dumbfounded, looking at Ningbai and Fatty Ning in disbelief. Their boss, a 5 tribulation creator, was beaten to the ground by a 12 or 13-year-old kid. What was going on? What happened in Ten Ghosts Village? What was the background of this Cloud Rising Village? Take care of these people, right? But be gentle. Ningbai glanced at the people of the Devil Tiger Village and said calmly, "Pooh, pooh, Pooh! The cultivators of the Devil Tiger village had never seen such a scene. Be it a 3 tribulation creator or a 4 tribulation creator, none of them were a match for this kid. A 6 tribulation creator. He's definitely a 6 tribulation creator. Retreat. Some of the 2 tribulation creators who were further away felt the aura of a 6 tribulation creator leaking from Fatty Ning's body from time to time. They turned around and ran. As for what would happen to the Devil Tiger village and the others, it was none of their business. In a situation like this, their lives were naturally more important. Ning sighed lightly. A hurricane rose under his feet, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of a group of cultivators who were running away. With one kick, he kicked all of them back. His speed was very fast, and he shuttled between the cultivators like lightning. There was almost no fish that escaped the net. Not long after, all 536 cultivators of the Devil Tiger village, including the Devil Tiger village, were hung on the pillars by Fatty Ning. Fatty Ning punched every time one of them died, causing the cultivators who had already fainted to spit out a mouthful of blood and open their eyes with a dispirited expression. Who are you people? I am the village chief of the Devil Tiger village. Let's talk this out. The Devil Tiger village was awakened by Fatty Ning's beating. He then looked at Ning Bai and Fatty Ning angrily. He could not understand how the 10 Ghosts village had turned into Cloud Rising village in such a short period of time. And how did the cultivators of Cloud Rising village become so strong that even he, a 5 tribulation creator, could not react in time and was subdued? Wait for the boss to come back. Don't try to escape. Those 2 tried to escape 10 times, but they were all caught in the end. You can take a closer look at them. Ning Bai pointed at the first 2 pillars and said calmly. The eyes of the Devil Tiger village's people subconsciously fell on the 2 people. They did not take a closer look before, but now that they took a closer look, they realized that the 2 people were exhaling more than they were inhaling. Their breaths were like gossamer threads, and the blood in their bodies was so weak that it was almost undetectable. They looked sickly. It was obvious that they were severely injured and had lost the ability to move. Chapter 1722. His identity exposed. Brothers, let me tell you a secret. After Void Butcher arrived at a certain market in the Dead Ends, he quickly became familiar with some of the cultivators who had no connections. At that moment, they were sitting together eating and drinking to their heart's content. Hu Qingzi sat obediently at the side. Void Butcher was very satisfied with her attitude. He had been on guard against Hu Qingzi looking for an opportunity to escape, but in the end, Hu Qingzi did not make any strange movements along the way. What secret? A few cultivators glanced at Hu Qingzi one by one and finally landed on Void Butcher. What secret? I think your sister is not bad. Are you interested in becoming my cultivation partner? A cultivator looked at Hu Qingzi with a smile, a trace of greed flashing in his eyes. She looks like she's only 11 or 12 years old. Dao Brother Chen, you like a little girl like her? She has a unique taste. What's wrong with that? She's more tender and delicious. You guys don't understand the taste. If you try it once, you'll definitely want to taste it again. Everyone, let's get down to business. Void Butcher frowned unhappily. These guys were all 3 tribulation creators, but they were so eager for sex. It seemed that although the perilous land of death could allow a cultivator to rapidly improve their cultivation, it also caused many cultivators to lose their state of mind. Such a state of mind was even worse than some Transcendence Realm cultivators. All right. Please speak, Brother Void Butcher. The cultivator called Dao Brother Chen looked at Void Butcher with a smile. Do you guys know that the Joyful Demon Sect has put out a wanted order for a cultivator in recent years? Void Butcher said mysteriously. Hu Qingzi's eyes moved slightly and her ears perked up. What does that have to do with us? Everyone thought that Void Butcher was going to say something, but it turned out that the Joyful Demon sect had put out a wanted order for someone else. It had nothing to do with them. Void Butcher sneered when he saw the disdain in the crowd. Do you guys know why this person is wanted? Why? Could it be that he killed a cultivator from the Joyful Demon sect? Even so, he shouldn't be wanted by the Joyful Demon sect. Could it be? When the crowd heard this, their curiosity was piqued and they all looked at Void Butcher. Some even urged him not to keep them in suspense and to make things clear. Because he stole something from the Joy Demon Exalted. I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's the delightful magic gourd. Void Butcher smiled proudly. As expected, he heard gasps coming from within the restaurant. Even the cultivators at the other tables looked in his direction. Their eyes were filled with shock and uncertainty. The delightful magic gourd was stolen? Is it the rumored supreme-grade spiritual artifact from the immortal prison, the delightful demonic gourd? The people who shared a table with Void Butcher were shocked. They looked at Void Butcher in disbelief. That's right. Void Butcher smiled and nodded. These fellows had been indifferent to the matter just now, but now that they heard the words delightful magic gourd, their eyes lit up. Thinking of this, a trace of mockery flashed across Void Butcher's eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that he knew that he was no match for Ning Qi, even he would have attacked Ning Qi to snatch the delightful magic gourd. With this spiritual artifact, with his cultivation as a three-tribulation creator, he would have no problem fighting against a six-tribulation creator. Impossible. The delightful magic gourd is Happy Demon Venerable's famous spiritual weapon. How could it be stolen? Brother Void Butcher, don't lie to us. Dao Brother Chen shook his head in disbelief. Dao Brother, why would I lie to you? This is absolutely true. Void Butcher glared at him unhappily. At this moment, a group of people walked up the stairs and stopped in front of Void Butcher. They stared at him coldly. Void Butcher glanced at them and immediately stood up from his chair in fright. He smiled at the group of cultivators. The group of cultivators was none other than Xiao Wei and the others. You said that Ning Beixian, who is wanted by the delightful demon sect, is now in a desperate situation? The Four Tribulation creator of the Six Daos Reincarnation sect asked calmly. Yes, I only found out about this later. You've all seen this person before. Void Butcher nodded quickly. A trace of joy flashed across his eyes. This was exactly the effect he wanted. Each of the 7 major sects had a few experts who were ranked in the top 50 of the combat power ranking. If they knew about this, Ning Qi would definitely be attacked by everyone. We've seen him before? Impossible. Thousands of years ago, we fought with Ning Beixian at the Sunset Night Elixir range to obtain the legacy of alchemy. If we saw him, we would definitely recognize him. Duanmu Chong did not believe it. Xiao Wei and the others nodded and stared at Void Butcher. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little tense, Void Butcher quickly said in a low voice, "This person must have changed his appearance. Xianbei is Ning Beixian. I saw him take out the delightful demon gourd and slaughter a small village hundreds of thousands of miles away. That village is called the 10 Ghosts Village. If you don't believe me, you can go and check it out." What? That cultivator called Xianbei is Ning Beixian? Xiao Wei and the others were stunned. They looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Xianbei, Xianbei, didn't it mean that it was Beixian? If this person wasn't lying, didn't that mean that they had met Ning Beixian several times before but did not recognize him? How is Ning Beixian's combat power so terrifying? How is that possible? Didn't you say that the cultivation base he revealed when he was with you at the Twilight Night Dan Vane was at most a 4th Tribulation creator? But we saw with our own eyes that he only broke through to the 4 Tribulation creator when he was in the City of the Dead. This doesn't seem to make sense. The Four Tribulation creator of the Six Paths of Reincarnation sect frowned, and a trace of disbelief flashed in his eyes. Xiaowe hesitated for a moment and said in a low voice, "Maybe he wasn't a Four Tribulation creator at that time. It's just that his combat power was peerless, which made us think that it was an illusion. From these few battles we can also see that this person has the strength to fight above his cultivation level. No wonder he dared to steal the delightful demon lord's things. So he has such a trump card." Everyone came to a realization. Void Butcher smiled ingratiatingly when he saw that they seemed to believe his words. "Stay here for the time being. Don't leave. Maybe the seniors of the Delightful Demon sect will come to ask you questions soon." After leaving behind these words, Xiaowe and the others left the restaurant one after another, while Void Butcher stared blankly at their backs. A trace of regret flashed across his eyes. If he had not listened to such a simple sentence, he might have become the target of the 7 great sects in the future. "Brother Butcher, you've struck it rich. When that wanted criminal is caught, the Delightful Demon sect will definitely reward you with a large amount of cultivation resources. Don't forget us then." The cultivators at the same table looked at Void Butcher enviously. Some of them showed greed in their eyes and wanted to ask Void Butcher about Ning Beishuan's whereabouts. If they could get the Delightful Demon gourd, their combat power would increase tremendously. Chapter 1723. Fellow Taoist, please wait. You're flattering me. Ning Beishuan's cultivation might not be high, but his battle prowess is unparalleled. The cultivators from the 6 sects might not have been able to defeat him. Do you know why only the 6 sects were among the cultivators from the 6 sects? Void Butcher smiled. Why? Everyone was stunned. Because Ning Beishuan killed the cultivators from the Joyous Demon sect on the way to the perilous land of death. Now I know why he only targeted the cultivators from the Joyous Demon sect. Hiss. Is this guy going to fight to the death with the Joyous Demon sect? Not only did he steal the Joyous Demon gourd, but he also killed the cultivators from the Joyous Demon sect. Brother Void Butcher, where is this person? He has a treasure like the Joyous Demon gourd on him. If we can find a group of people to deal with him, we might be able to exchange it for a chance to cultivate under the Divine Stone. No, Void Butcher waved his hand. A hint of fear flashed across his eyes. He had seen Ning Qi fight several times with his own eyes. With that terrifying combat strength, those without the cultivation of a 7 Tribulation creator or an 8 Tribulation creator would not even be able to survive against him. He's in 10 Ghosts Village, but it's been renamed Cloud Rising Village. A voice sounded beside them. Void Butcher and the others looked at Ning Qi with furrowed brows. You are. Ning Qi's appearance had returned to normal, so Void Butcher did not recognize him immediately. Only Hu Qingzi looked at Ning Qi suspiciously. Her nose twitched. Suddenly, a hint of a smile appeared in her eyes as she looked at Void Butcher pitifully. Juzi, why are you still sitting there? Ning Qi looked at Hu Qingzi. Big brother, it's really you. Only then did Hu Qingzi confirm Ning Qi's identity. He happily stood up and walked behind Ning Qi. When Brother Chen, who had been eyeing Hu Qingzi covetously, saw this, his face revealed a trace of displeasure. In his heart, Hu Qingzi was already his next target. He would be able to play with him for at least a dozen years, but this strange cultivator in front of him dared to rob him. Brother Void Butcher, is this little girl not one of yours? Fellow Taoist Chen said sinisterly. The other cultivators glanced at Void Butcher with a faint smile, then looked at Ning Qi curiously. In the end, they were surprised to find that they could not see through Ning Qi's cultivation. When Void Butcher heard how Hu Qingzi addressed Ning Qi, his face turned deathly pale. He stared at Ning Qi in a daze, his eyes filled with disbelief. What is this? Ning Qi reached out and grabbed something in Void Butcher's hand. It was a necklace. The chain was made from an unknown metal, and the patterns on it were very ancient. It did not look like something from the present, but something that had been passed down for a very, very long time. There was a pendant on the chain that looked like a sapphire. There was a faint aura of an array formation coming from it. Ning-Chi stared at it, and the pendant was magnified tens of thousands of times in his eyes. He could vaguely see an extremely exquisite array formation arrangement on it. Void Butcher stared blankly at Ning-Chi. He was just about to use this item to leave this place, but Ning-Chi had discovered his little trick. Did you use this item to escape with Xiao Juzi? Ning-Chi looked at Void Butcher with a faint smile. Who are you? Void Butcher said with difficulty. He was unwilling to believe that this person was that guy. Why, he had already escaped hundreds of thousands of miles away. How could he still be found? Haven't you already guessed it? Ning-Chi smiled. Thump! Void Butcher immediately knelt on the ground and cried bitterly at Ning-Chi. Brother Xianbei, this is actually a misunderstanding. I was just planning to earn my own living, but I did not expect to accidentally bring the little girl with me. Please listen to my explanation. He still had a sliver of hope in his heart. Ning-Chi had just arrived, so he probably did not hear what he said to the cultivators of the 6 major sections. This time, the cultivators at the table could not remain calm, and the customers nearby also looked at Ning-Chi curiously. Being able to make a 3 tribulation creator kneel on the ground and beg for mercy, this guy's cultivation must be at least 4 or 5 tribulations, right? In a desperate situation like this, such an existence could barely be considered a top-notch expert, a core figure in a gambling war. You're so smart. You left a scent along the way. Didn't this guy notice? Ning-Chi rubbed Hu Qingzi's head. Hu Qingzi narrowed her eyes and revealed an expression of enjoyment. She smiled proudly. This guy is so stupid. How could he notice? He thought it was just my special body fragrance. I see, Void Butcher glared angrily at Hu Qingzi. So it was this girl who left a trail that allowed the other party to catch up. If he had known this would happen, he would have escaped alone. Perhaps he would not have been caught today. What should he do now? Void Butcher's mind raced. He could only think of a way to save his life. Wait, Brother Xianbei, could he be that Ning Beixian? Suddenly, the crowd noticed the way Void Butcher addressed Ning-Chi. Their expressions changed, and they looked at Ning-Chi with a hint of fear in their eyes. However, within the fear, there was a trace of greed that could not be concealed. If this person was Ning Beixian, wouldn't he have a supreme-grade spiritual weapon, the delightful demonic gourd? If they could get their hands on this gourd, even if they could not use it themselves, they could return it to the delightful demon sect and get a huge favor in exchange for a large sum of cultivation resources. Thinking of this, the cultivators in the restaurant blushed. Their breathing became much heavier as they stared at Ning-Chi. Brother Void Butcher, if taking Xiao Juzi away was a misunderstanding, then what you said in front of the cultivators of the 6 sects was also a misunderstanding? Ning-Chi looked at Void Butcher and smiled. Void Butcher's face revealed a trace of despair. The other party had actually heard it. He was not willing to die just like that. His eyes turned, and he immediately shot out. Ning-Chi reached out and grabbed. Void Butcher felt a majestic force pressing down on him. He was forcefully dragged back to where he was and knelt on the ground with a thud. Seeing this, the cultivators in the restaurant gradually calmed down. Only 3 or 4 fourth tribulation creators looked at each other. They were still a little restless. Brother Void Butcher, since you've met an old friend, we will take our leave first. Chapter 1724. Chapter 1724. Crazy. What do you mean by this? Fellow Taoist Chen looked at Ning-Chi in shock. The cultivators who shared the table with him had already left the restaurant in a hurry, yet Ning-Chi had stopped him alone? How old does this girl of mine look? Ning-Chi smiled and nodded at Hu Qing. A hint of anger flashed through fellow Taoist Chen's eyes. He finally knew why she had stopped him. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "What I said earlier was just a joke. Hasn't this little girl not suffered any losses? Didn't you say that teenage girls are the most delicious?" Ning Qi smiled. "Could it be that you were just farting? Sir, don't go too far. Now that everyone knows who you are, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave if you don't leave now, right?" Fellow Taoist Chen said coldly. Void Butcher knelt at the side. When he heard this, he couldn't help but curse the idiot in his heart. "You know this, yet you don't know how to stall for time? You actually took the initiative to warn him? What an idiot! You're still worried about whether I can leave or not. You're such a busybody. So what if I can't leave today? Do you think you can leave this place?" Ning Qi sneered. Fellow Taoist Chen looked at Ning Qi in shock and anger. Void Butcher was also a three-tribulation creator like him, yet he was kneeling here without moving. This was enough to prove how terrifying Ning Qi's combat strength was. If they fought, fellow Taoist Chen probably wouldn't be a match. "Sir, what do you want? If I offended you in any way, I can apologize to this girl." Fellow Taoist Chen lowered his head in humiliation. "There's no need for an apology. I have my own ways of punishing people like you." Ning Qi smiled. Fellow Taoist Chen felt a chill down his spine. He looked down blankly and saw that his crotch was covered in blood. At this moment, fellow Taoist Chen's heart sank. The tools have been confiscated. Don't think about using the power of creation to make yourself a new one. That's just wishful thinking. Ning Qi smiled. Not only did he confiscate the tools, but he also directly helped the wounds heal. At the same time, he used immortal qi to destroy a certain physiological function of this guy. Unless he took another body, even if he took elixirs like body reconstruction pills in the future, he wouldn't be able to change the fact that he would become a eunuch. "You!" Taoist Chen flew into a rage, and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he glared at Ning Qi. In the next moment, surging energy of creation surged out of his body, and his creation domain covered Ning Qi's head. "This domain is confiscated as well." Ning Qi smiled and shattered his opponent's fortune domain with a single palm strike. Fellow Taoist Chen spat out a mouthful of blood and stared at Ning Qi in disbelief. "If you don't have your domain, then you might as well forfeit your cultivation." Ning Qi shook his head and pointed his finger lightly. A strand of immortal qi shot into Dao Brother Chen's body, stirring up his meridians, dantian and sea of consciousness. Dao Brother Chen's creator aura weakened at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, his cultivation realm dropped from the 3 Tribulation Master of Creation, 2nd Tribulation Master of Creation, and 1st Tribulation Master of Creation all the way to the Transcendence realm. Instead, he looked like he was at the early stage of the Transcendence realm. "Alright, you can scram now." Ning Qi waved his hand. Seeing this, the fear in Void Butcher's eyes intensified. If Ning Qi used such a method on him, he might as well commit suicide. The other customers in the restaurant, including the 4 Tribulation Masters of Creation, all lost the will to fight. Ning Qi easily crippled the cultivation of a 3 Tribulation Master of Creation at a speed that they couldn't even catch. Such strength was truly terrifying. Ning Qi's battle prowess was at least above the 5 Tribulation Master of Creation. Dao Brother Chen's expression was dispirited, and he was a little dumbfounded as he felt the changes in his body. Then, he looked at Ning Qi with grief and indignation. "You actually crippled my cultivation. I'll fight you to the death." After roaring, he charged at Ning Qi, not caring that his current cultivation was more than 100 times weaker than before. Smack! Dao Brother Chen was slapped to the ground by Ning Qi, and at the same time, his body was ravaged again. In the end, even the aura of the Transcendence realm dissipated, and it was replaced by the aura of the Eternal Life realm. He's become an Eternal Life realm cultivator, A trace of pity flashed in the eyes of the customers in the restaurant as they watched this scene in silence. He had worked so hard to cultivate to become a three-tribulation master of creation, but now he was back to his original state. This was an unbearable reality for any cultivator. When their gazes fell on Dao Brother Chen's crotch, their expressions became even more pitiful. If a male cultivator died, although it would not have much of an impact on his cultivation, and he could even cultivate some sinister yet powerful cultivation methods, it did not mean that he was useless. Compared to most male cultivators, he was a symbol of dignity. Now that Dao Brother Chen had lost his cultivation, he had also lost his dignity. Ha ha, Mom. I want to find Mom. Dao Brother Chen suddenly let out a maniacal laugh, and he scrambled out of the restaurant. This guy, he's crazy, Brother Xianbei. No, Senior Xianbei, I know I was wrong. Please let me live, for the sake of our previous relationship. Void Butcher's fear of Ning Qi rose to its peak when he saw this. Once and twice, I didn't do anything to you because you were only trying to save your own life, but you betray me every time. Tell me, how am I supposed to settle this with you? Ning Qi looked down at Void Butcher with a faint smile. I'll cut off one of my arms. Senior, is that okay? Void Butcher hesitated. Cutting off one of your arms is fine. I'll send you to reincarnation. Perhaps you'll be able to achieve something in the underworld? Ning Qi smiled. Ning Beixian, do you really have to go this far? Void Butcher's eyes were filled with madness. He suddenly shot up from the ground, intending to sneak an attack on Ning Qi. There was a hint of cunning in his eyes. As expected, his actions were fake. His real goal was to create a diversion and escape from this place. A dragon's roar was heard. 8 silver dragons whizzed through the air and landed a heavy blow on Void Butcher's back. Void Butcher did not even have time to scream before he died on the spot. A black shadow appeared and captured Void Butcher's soul. Void Butcher glared at Ning Qi with hatred, then was taken away by the cultivators of the underworld unwillingly. Chapter 1725. It's him. That's Ning Beixian? At the end of the street, Xiao Wei and the others watched in shock as Ning Qi held Hu Qingzi's hand and walked past them. He even seemed to smile at them. It's him, Duanmu Chong nodded solemnly. It should be him. His appearance hasn't changed at all in the past few thousand years. Fuji said softly. Wasn't that young lady in the restaurant just now? Yu Feng's expression changed as he quickly headed in the direction of the restaurant. Not long after, he walked in front of everyone and whispered, 2 people are dead. One of them is the guy who informed us just now. It seems like that guy is indeed Ning Beixian. The 6 Fourth Tribulation creators exchanged glances and watched Ning Qi disappear from their sight in silence. They had no intention of making a move. They had seen Ning Qi's strength and knew that they were no match for him. Even if they joined forces, they would still die. Let's go. We'll pass the news to the Joyous Demon Sect. It's none of our business whether the Joyous Demon Sect cultivators can capture him or not. The Fourth Tribulation creator of the 6 Paths Reincarnation sect said nonchalantly. The 7 great sects had their own villages in the perilous land of death that weren't too far from the market. After making the decision, they deliberately waited a few days before setting off. Why did they have to wait a few days? Everyone was well aware that they were afraid of running into Ning Qi. Big brother, is your real name Ning Beixian? I heard from Void Butcher that you stole the supreme grade spirit weapon of the Joyous Demon Venerate. Is that true? Make a guess. Then did you come to the perilous land of death to seek refuge? As far as I know, Yuan Venerate Heavenly Goo and Yuan Venerate Devil Corpse don't allow the 9 Tribulation creators to set foot here. Therefore, the Joyous Demon Venerate can't capture you personally no matter how strong he is. Make a guess. Big brother is so strong. You should be able to enter the top 50 of the combat list, right? When the time comes, can you bring me to the impassable divine stone to cultivate? I'm so pitiful, even the Heavenly Fox clan wants to kill me. I must raise my cultivation and then kill my way back to take revenge. Especially that little witch, she wants to become this generation's holy fox. It's impossible. Make a guess. On the way back to Cloudrise Village, the little fox kept asking Ningqi questions. But Ningqi didn't answer her. Every time, he used the same expression on his face and squeezed out the same two words. Guess. Hu Cheng was so angry that he sulked for a period of time. He gave Ningqi some peace, but not long after, Hu Cheng started chattering nonstop again. Not long after, the two of them arrived at Cloud Rising Village. Hey, who are these guys? Hu Cheng looked at Mo Hu and the others with a strange expression. There were hundreds of pillars, and each of them had a cultivator hanging on them. Moreover, these cultivators' cultivation levels were not low. The strongest one was probably a 5 tribulation creator, right? Boss, you're back. Xiao Bai, who was patrolling at the entrance of the village, saw them and walked over to greet them. When she saw Hu Cheng, her eyes flashed. Hu Chengzi felt goosebumps all over her body. The other party was the same as her, giving off the aura of the demon clan. Moreover, the purity of the aura made her heart jump. How was this possible? The Sky Fox clan was the royal clan of the demon clan. What other clan had a higher rank than them? These are from Demon Tiger Village, right? Ningqi smiled. Yes. Ningbai nodded. Hearing the commotion, Mo Hu opened his eyes with difficulty and saw Ningbai talking to a young cultivator who looked no more than 18 or 19 years old. From the way Ningbai addressed the other, Mo Hu concluded that this person was likely the village chief of Cloud Rising Village. Thinking of this, Mo Hu hurriedly said in a hoarse voice, Cloud Rising Village Chief, I am the village chief of Demon Tiger Village, a subsidiary of Deity Sea Village. Hurry and put me down. As for what happened between you and 10 Ghosts Village, I don't care anymore. I don't want the tributes. What if I don't? Ningqi looked at Mo Hu. Deity Sea Village will not let you go. I give them a large amount of tributes every year. If you kill me, the village chief will definitely kill you personally. Definitely. The demon tiger roared. Right now, he could only hope that Ningqi would feel some fear towards the Deity Sea Village. But, he never imagined that even if the Deity Sea Village didn't come looking for Cloudrise Village, Ningqi would personally come looking for them. Then let them come. It will save me the trouble of making a trip. Ningqi chuckled. Mo Hu's eyes flashed with shock. Then, the vitality in his eyes gradually faded, and a bloody hole appeared between his brows. Void-penetrating finger. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, over 500 cultivators hanging on the pillars were all killed with a single move. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully killing a 5 tribulation creator. You have been rewarded with 25 creation points. Ding. Congratulations to host for success. The system notifications kept ringing. Soon, Ningqi's creation points broke through the 30,000 mark, reaching a total of 34,460. He was one step closer to the 100,000 creation points mark. Ningqi estimated that if he cleaned out all the villages within a 100,000 kilometer radius, with the 5,000 creation points from the mission reward, if he was lucky, he might be able to directly reach the advancement requirement. This was something that he wouldn't even dare to think about in the outside world. Only in the desperate situation of death could so many creators exist. Let me introduce you. Ningbai's original form is a wind-chasing horse. Hu Chengzi's original form is a heavenly fox. Ningqi smiled. Wind-chasing horse. Hu Chengzi looked at Ningbai in disbelief and then at Ningqi. Then, he said with some difficulty, wind-chasing horse? Is it the kind that chi refinement cultivators often ride? Should be? Ning Qi smiled. Impossible. That kind of demonic beast with no intelligence cannot even reach the Battle Dan realm. But his cultivation is clearly higher than mine. How can he be a wind-chasing horse? Hu Qingzi shook his head in disbelief. A white light flashed, and Ning Bai turned into the appearance of a wind-chasing horse. Light blue flames slowly burned on his forehoof. He intimately went forward and nudged Ning Qi with his head. Ning Qi reached out to stroke his mane and smiled at Hu Qingzi. Is it a wind-chasing horse? It seems so. Hu Qingzi looked at Ning Bai speechlessly. His mind was full of thoughts. How could a wind-chasing horse become a creator? Could it be that the world had changed? It was no wonder that Hu Qingzi did not believe it. This was like a normal human on Earth suddenly discovering that an ant was speaking the human language. Most importantly, the ant had the ability to make the human kneel and beg for mercy with one punch. Spiritual cultivation pill. Spiritual cultivation pill. Chapter 1726. Qiuzhan Fatty Ning might have been restricted by Ning Bai on the number of spiritual cultivation pills, so when he saw Ning Qi, not only did he ask for one, but he also snitched on Ning Qi. Boss, one spiritual cultivation pill. While eating the pill, Fatty Ning pointed at Whitey. Whitey's body flashed with white light, and it turned back into its human form. It looked at Fatty Ning coldly. You, spiritual cultivation pill, it's not good to eat too much. Alright, stop fooling around. Little Fatty, eat it if you like, Ning Qi said with a smile. Hu Qingzi looked at Fatty Ning, dumbfounded. He was already a creator, yet he still ate these low-grade pills? Not only could it not increase his strength, but it would also create impurities in his body, which he had to expel after eating. The three entered the village. When Hu Qingzi saw Ning Zi, Ning Jin, Cold Sky Saint Concubine, and the others, he was even more surprised. How long has it been? Why are there so many people by Big Brother's side? These demons are all Sixth Tribulation Creator Masters, right? And looking at their auras, they were not ordinary demons. They might all be geniuses who could fight above their level. Especially Ning Zi, her aura made Hu Qingzi very uneasy. When he stood in front of her, he was like a primary school student in front of a teacher, somewhat reserved. Boss, is she your new demon pet? Then should he be the 8th or the 9th? Ning Zi giggled. Demon pet. These were all Big Brother's demon pets? Hu Qingzi's mouth opened slightly, and he looked at Ning Qi in a daze. If other demons knew about this, it would definitely cause an uproar. Not to mention the creation realm demons, even the transcendence realm demons would not become the demon pets of the human race. Only those with low intelligence, who had not yet formed a human form, would be forced to sign a contract by the human race. It should be 9th, right? Ning Qi smiled. Fatty Ning was number 7, and the octopus was number 8. If Hu Qingzi really became his demon pet, he would definitely be number 9. No, I'm not Big Brother's demon pet. Hu Qingzi quickly waved his hand. Alright, stop scaring the little girl, the sacred concubine said with a smile. Even though her cultivation level wasn't high and she wasn't even a first tribulation creator, Ning Zi and the rest immediately shut their mouths when they heard her speak. Hu Qingzi felt as if he had found his savior. The smile on the sacred concubine's face made him feel very warm, and he quickly hid behind her. Hu Qingzi felt his heart calm down. Ning Beixian, who stole the happy magic gourd, should be here. But this is the 10 Ghosts village. Could Sha Gui and the others have made their move first? So what if he did it? It's not like he could transfer the delightful magic gourd in such a short time. Yes, even if the 10 of them join forces, they won't be easy to deal with. Should we come up with a plan? Why don't we set up a formation outside and have someone lure them out? Green Ghost is a grandmaster of spell formations, so he should be able to see us. Why don't we just pay him a visit and say that the news has already spread, and that all the cultivators within hundreds of thousands of kilometers know that he has the delightful magic gourd. Then we can threaten and bribe him into giving us a piece of the pie. Let's do that. 5 cultivators of different ages stood not far from the cloud-rising village and discussed among themselves. They had received news that a cultivator called Ning Beixian had stolen the delightful demon Venerable's famous spirit artifact, the delightful magic gourd. Moreover, this cultivator was only a 4 tribulation creator. After receiving the news, they followed the clues in the rumors and found their way to the 10 Ghosts village. Thinking about the profits they could get later, the 5 cultivators were extremely excited. They walked straight to the village, but just as they reached the village gate, they heard a loud shout from afar. "Wanted criminal Ning Beixian, come out here. I am the Vice Hall Master of the Battle Hall of the delightful demon sect, Qiuzhan. I heard that you are wanted by the delightful demon sect for stealing the delightful magic gourd. If you hand over the delightful magic gourd today, I might spare your life." The voice was like thunder, vast and mighty. Even the clouds in the sky were scattered by this sound wave. Then, the 5 cultivators saw an extremely handsome young cultivator with a jade-like face riding on an incomparably luxurious carriage. The carriage was actually pulled by a dragon that made even them tremble in fear. The dragon was 100 zhang long, and its body was covered in black scales. Its ferocious eyes were filled with an aura of death, as if its soul had been stolen and refined into this form. The chariot behind it was actually as tall and grand as a fortress. The young man was standing at the railing, and around him were many graceful female cultivators. They only wore very few pieces of clothing, and some of them didn't even wear anything at all. Only a transparent scarf was draped over their shoulders. Qiuzhan of the delightful demon sect? He seems to be a reserve cultivator that the impassable Godstone is interested in, a 7 tribulation creator. He has the chance to fight his way into the top 50 of the combat force ranking. When the 5 cultivators saw this, their eyes were filled with shock. They exchanged glances with each other before retreating to the side with ugly expressions. With such an existence here, they wouldn't be able to get any benefits today. Hall Master Qiuzhan, Ning Beixian is inside. We know that he's a wanted criminal of the delightful demon sect, so we're here to hunt him down. Suddenly, the youngest and prettiest female cultivator among the 5 said loudly. The other 4 were startled, but they quickly reacted with joy. That's right, since they're already here, they can use this opportunity to build a relationship with Qiuzhan. Even if they can't get the most out of it, Qiuzhan just needs to take care of them a little in the future, and they'll be able to live comfortably in the land of death. Qiuzhan looked down at the 5 of them coldly with disdain in his eyes. With your cultivation, you want to encircle the fugitives of my joyful demon sect? The 5 cultivators were startled. However, for the sake of your sincerity, I will accept this favor, Qiuzhan said calmly. Thank you, Hall Master Qiuzhan. The 5 cultivators immediately thanked him. Qiuzhan glanced at the female cultivator and smiled. He then looked at the cloud-rising village. Ning Beixian, what are you waiting for? Qiuzhan was very excited after hearing the news. If he could get the delightful demon gourd, he could use it to his heart's content even if he had to return it to the demon deity in the future. He might even be able to make it into the top 50 of the combat force ranking. Chapter 1727. Crazy. Cloud-rising village fell into silence. Qiuzhan's expression changed slightly, and his eyes sharpened. The black dragon that was pulling the carriage let out a roar, and a black ball of light flew out of its mouth towards cloud-rising village like a bolt of lightning. This dragon is at least a 6 tribulation creator, but his soul was refined by Qiuzhan and he became a slave. Such a method is truly terrifying. When the 5 of them saw this, they felt a chill run down their spines. Normally, they would not even dare to breathe heavily when they saw a dragon of such a level. However, such an existence was being used by Qiuzhan to pull a carriage. The disparity made the 5 of them feel that they were like ants in front of them. The attack of a 6th tribulation dragon was enough to destroy the village. If the villagers didn't have a way to defend themselves, the village would definitely be razed to the ground. What a pity! Sha Gui and the others should have shown up earlier. How dare they be so arrogant in front of Qiuzhan? We reacted quickly. But will the delightful demonic gourd be damaged? A supreme-grade spiritual artifact. Even Qiuzhan wouldn't be able to destroy it, let alone a 6th tribulation dragon. That's true. The 5 of them thought quickly. Just as the black ball of light was about to land on the village, it suddenly stopped in midair. Then, it flew back towards Qiuzhan at a speed several times faster than it came. Qiuzhan's expression changed slightly and a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. He flew up and took out a treasured sword that emitted the aura of a high-rank spiritual weapon. He destroyed the black ball of light and then stood in the air coldly. He looked towards the small mountain village, and a purple figure appeared in front of everyone. Who are you? Qiuzhan's eyes flashed with astonishment when he saw Ningzi. At the same time, he sensed something unusual from Ningzi's aura. It wasn't because of how high this person's cultivation was, but because of the scent emitted by this person's bloodline. This scent carried a trace of mystery, a trace of nobility. Therefore, Qiuzhan didn't go forward immediately. He wanted to find out who she was. Ningzi. Ningzi looked at Qiuzhan calmly. Ningzi? Who are you to Ning Beixian? Qiuzhan frowned. You have no right to know. Ningzi stared coldly at Qiuzhan. In her eyes, even though Qiuzhan's cultivation was a tribulation higher than hers, she was nothing to be afraid of in front of the techniques that Little Six had taught her. Ha ha ha, how arrogant! What? Ning Beixian doesn't have the guts to come out and let a little girl like you come out to die? Qiuzhan was so angry that he laughed. Vixen, why don't you take a look at who is standing in front of you? How dare you speak to an adult like that? Are you tired of living? He, it seems like it won't be long before this young lady will have to serve Sir with us. At that time, we must train her well. On top of the fortress-like building, the female cultivators in revealing clothes looked at Ningzi with jealousy and ridiculed her. They were all female cultivators, and the moment they saw Ningzi, they felt a trace of threat from her. Therefore, they hoped that Qiuzhan would be able to kill this woman quickly, and then seize the magic gourd of joy, and fight his way into the top 50 of the power rankings. They could also cultivate under the impassable divine stone. Boss said that a guy like you isn't worth his time. It's enough for me to teach you a lesson. Ningzi said calmly. Good, you're arrogant enough. Hearing Ningzi's words, Qiuzhan was exasperated, but he couldn't show it on his face. That would make him look too stupid. He could only put on a fake smile and stared at Ningzi. He had no intention of letting her live. How dare she humiliate him like this? He would play with her once and then kill her. Did the 10 Ghosts village change? This woman is definitely not someone that can be controlled by a murderous ghost. The boss she mentioned must be Ning Beixian. The 5 cultivators looked at each other with lingering fear. If they had rushed up to ask for Ningzi, they would probably, not even their bones would be left. She could easily counter the attacks of the 6th Tribulation Dragon Clan. With such strength, she could crush them with a finger. Luckily, if Qiuzhan didn't come in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Just as the 5 of them were letting their imaginations run wild, a dark cloud suddenly appeared in the sky. They were stunned for a moment, but when they took a closer look, they realized that those were not dark clouds. They were chariots that looked extremely similar to Qiuzhan's. Each of them was pulled by a dragon, and there were about 100 of them. They gathered together and flew toward them, looking like dark clouds. At the same time, some of the chariots had large flags that fluttered in the wind. Cultivators from the joyful demon sect, the Netherworld Demon Sect, and the Mental Demon Sect. The three major sects had gathered. The five of them stared at this scene with their mouths agape. Seeing this, Ningzi also frowned and looked over. How did they get here so quickly? Damn it! Qiuzhan glanced at Ningzi unwillingly and returned to the chariot. There are more people. After the five cultivators recovered from their shock, they suddenly realized that other than this group of cultivators, there were many other cultivators. Among them were familiar faces, and there were even people who had grudges with them. These cultivators seemed to have appeared at the same time, and there were thousands of them scattered around the mountain range. We didn't come early. They've been lying in ambush here for a long time, one of them muttered to himself with an ugly expression. The five of them finally realized that although they thought they had arrived early, the other cultivators had long been attracted here by the news of the joyful demon gourd. However, due to some deadlock, no one took the initiative to attack. They hid themselves and waited secretly. They had almost become the lackeys of this group of cultivators. Qiuzhan, you're really early. The chariots of the three major demon sects flew closer. A few of the chariots had auras that were stronger than Qiuzhan's, while the rest were weaker. A middle-aged cultivator with a cold expression wore a bright red robe. His chariot was larger than Qiuzhan's, and the aura of the dragon pulling the chariot was also stronger than Qiuzhan's. There were two chariots standing side by side, and they were led by the experts of the Netherworld Demon Sect and the Mental Demon Sect. They were looking at Qiuzhan with a faint smile, but soon, their gazes landed on Ningzi. Hall Master, I happened to pass by this place and rushed over when I heard the news. Qiuzhan cupped his hands and said coldly, Is that so? After hearing such news, you didn't send me a message immediately and rushed over yourself? Are you trying to steal the credit? Or have you taken a fancy to the joyful demon gourd? The red-robed cultivator sneered at Qiuzhan. Qiuzhan snorted coldly and didn't say anything. I'll deal with you when we get back. Chapter 1728. Chapter 1728. Happy A figure slowly walked out of Cloud Rising Village with three people behind him. One was dressed in snow-white clothes, one was skinny like a stick with yellow hair, and one had a silly face and was extremely fat. Inside Cloud Rising Village, Sacred Concubine Cold Sky and the others stood side by side and looked at the scene outside the village. Only Zhang Qinghua and Ji Kuei were a bit scared. There were 4 7 Tribulation creators among the cultivators outside the village, and they didn't know if there were others hiding. As for these 4 7 Tribulation Masters of Creation, their origins were not to be underestimated. The 9 Serenities Demon Sect, the Joyful Demon Sect, and the Heart Demon Sect were the most bloodthirsty sects among the 7 sects in the outside world. No matter who offended them, they would definitely hunt them down until they died. The auras of thousands of creators mixed together and condensed into a pressure that almost suffocated people. But when the 2 girls glanced at Sacred Concubine Cold Sky, they were a bit surprised. Sacred Concubine Cold Sky and the others' cultivation was lower than theirs, not even a creator, but they were extremely calm at the moment. When Ningzi saw Ningqi appear, she landed behind him and coldly stared at Qiuzhan and the others. Only these 4 cultivators could make her look up to them. As for the other cultivators, they were like ants to her. When fighting, she didn't have to care about these ants at all. You're Ning Beixian? The red-robed cultivator from the Joyful Demon Sect looked at Ningqi coldly. That's me. You are? Ningqi nodded with a smile. Many cultivators were confused when they saw Ningqi's expression. Why was he still so happy when surrounded by so many cultivators? That's right, he was happy. They discovered that the emotions emanating from Ningqi's body were undisguised happiness and happiness, as if he had encountered something extremely joyous. He must be crazy. No wonder he dared to attack the Joyful Demon Sect. Many cultivators murmured in their hearts. Me? The joyful demon sect's battle hall master Mo Dong. The red-robed cultivator said coldly. So you're a hall master. I understand why the joyful demon sect came to find me, but are the 9 Serenities demon sect and heart demon sect here to watch the show or to help? Ning Qi's gaze landed on the other 2 cultivators. Us? But the joyous demon sect is one of the 7 major sections. If Mo Dong can't deal with you, we might take action. The 7th tribulation cultivator from the mental demons sect looked at Ning Qi with a faint smile. The cultivator from the 9 netherworld devil sect had a faint smile on his face. He didn't say anything, but his expression was filled with arrogance. He looked down at Ning Qi as if he was looking at an ant. There's no need for maybes. Just attack together with him, Ning Qi said with a sincere expression. He is indeed as arrogant as the rumors say. No wonder he dared to steal the delightful magic gourd. Mo Dong, if I manage to snatch the delightful magic gourd today, I will personally hand it over to delightful demon venerable. You don't mind, do you? The mental demon sect's 7th tribulation cultivator looked at Mo Dong and smiled. In other words, whoever snatched the delightful magic gourd would be qualified to use it temporarily in the despair realm of death. No one would have the guts to actually steal it. After all, they couldn't stay in a place like the despair realm of death forever. The 9 Great Desolation Domain wasn't the territory of the human race. They would eventually have to return to the outside world. Lei Tao, I naturally don't mind if you have the ability. But I alone am enough to deal with this kid. You can help me by the side. Mo Dong sneered. He paused and looked at the cultivator from the 9 netherworld devil sect. Zhong Ming, you're the same as Lei Tao. You're also eyeing the delightful magic gourd. You want to take this opportunity to get it? If you want to make a move, do it quickly. When I'm impatient, I might beat you up too. Zhong Ming looked at Mo Dong coldly. His aura was thicker than Mo Dong's. Lei Tao's aura was similar to Mo Dong's. Obviously, Zhong Ming's cultivation was the strongest among the 3. Among the 7 major sects, the 6 Tao Reincarnation sect was the strongest, followed by the 9 Netherworld Devil sect. As for the Mental Demon sect and the Delightful Magic sect, they were ranked lower. A trace of fear flashed in Mo Dong's eyes. He let out a cold snort and glanced at the surrounding cultivators. Ants, whoever dares to fish in troubled waters today, my delightful magic sect will definitely not let him off. So domineering. Seems like there's no benefit today. But it's worth it to be able to watch a show. Maybe I can ambush a few more people when I leave. It's not bad to earn back the travel expenses this time. The surrounding cultivators cursed in their hearts. If Mo Dong and the others didn't come today, they might be able to snatch the delightful magic gourd. But now, Mo Dong didn't allow them to fish in troubled waters. Unless they were determined to offend the delightful magic sect, no cultivator would dare to compete with the delightful magic sect for treasures under such circumstances. After finishing his preparations, Mo Dong looked at Ning Qi again. A trace of passion flashed in his eyes. Ning Beixian, hand over the delightful magic gourd and I'll let you die a quick death. Thousands of pairs of eyes fell on Ning Qi. They wanted to see if Ning Qi would choose to hand over the delightful magic gourd or fight with Mo Dong. In their opinion, with Lei Tao and Zhong Ming supporting them, if they were to really fight today, the 3 great demon sects would definitely win, and the outcome they hoped to see the most was for the 3 great demon sects and Ning Qi to both suffer. Only then would they have the chance to eat meat and drink soup. Hey, the delightful magic gourd, right? It's here, but I've refined it again. I've removed the mark left by the delightful magic gourd. Now, I call it the Immortal Execution Demonic Gourd. If you want it, come and get it yourself. Ning Qi took out the Immortal Execution Demonic Gourd. In an instant, thousands of pairs of eyes turned greedy. Many cultivators drooled as they stared at the gourd in Ning Qi's hand. The delightful magic gourd. If I can get it, my strength can increase by 1 or 2 tribulations, right? Greed flashed in Lei Tao and Zhong Ming's eyes. Such a supreme-grade spiritual artifact was extremely rare in the world. Only 9 tribulation creators could own it. The spiritual artifacts they were using now were at most of the higher quality ones. Only a few geniuses could get their own supreme-grade spiritual artifact when they were 8 tribulation creators. However, the quality of the spiritual artifact would definitely be much lower than the delightful magic gourd. Give it to me. In order to prevent Lei Tao and Zhong Ming from attacking, Mo Dong directly used his strongest move. His body was covered in a blue light. It was the divine force of the impassible divine stone. However, he must have used the divine force in recent years. The increase in his strength was far from being as strong as the ferocious ghosts. However, Mo Dong was a 7 tribulation creator. After the divine force, his cultivation was raised to the peak of 7 tribulation creator. He was infinitely close to 8 tribulation creator. It increased his battle strength by at least 30%. Chapter 1729. Chapter 1729. Letting off the hook boom. A sea of demonic chi swept towards Mo Dong from the immortal exterminating demonic gourd. Mo Dong's body was dispersed by the sea of flames and disappeared in the air. Huh! The surrounding cultivators stared at this scene with their mouths agape. A dignified 7 tribulation creator was killed just like that? Wasn't this a little strange? Only a few people had a cold smile on their faces. Do you think I won't guard against you? A mocking voice sounded behind Ning Qi. Then, Mo Dong's palm pierced through Ning Qi's back and came out from his chest. It's over! As expected of the hall master of the battle hall. How clean! Since Ning Beixian dared to attack the delightful demonic gourd, he should have something up his sleeves. How did he die in Mo Dong's hands so easily? Even Zhong Ming, Lei Tao, and Qiu Zhan had a hint of doubt in their eyes. It was as if they could not believe that Mo Dong had ended the battle so quickly. Are we late? Another chariot flew through the air. Xiao Wei and the others stood on the chariot and just happened to see Ning Qi's heart being pierced by Mo Dong. No, the hall master of the battle hall of the delightful demonic sect, Mo Dong, is only slightly stronger than the city lord of the dead city. Even the city lord wasn't Ning Beixian's match. How could Mo Dong kill Ning Beixian so easily? A bright light flashed in Xiao Wei's eyes. There were many people that had similar thoughts as him. After all, they'd once witnessed the scene of Ning Qi flying into a rage in the city of the dead and beating the city governor to death. Mo Dong's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. It seemed that this Ning Beixian before him was too light. Then, he saw Ning Qi's figure slowly dissipate in front of him, exactly the same as before. An afterimage. How could his speed be so fast? Mo Dong's eyes revealed a trace of astonishment. The other party had actually left an afterimage on the spot without him noticing, and he had foolishly thought that it was the other party's real body? Not only was Mo Dong shocked, but Zhong Ming and the others were also shocked. Just this move alone showed that his opponent's battle strength couldn't be underestimated. Fortunately, Mo Dong rushed over. A trace of resentment flashed in Qiu Zhan's eyes. No matter how strong the opponent's battle prowess was, being able to leave behind an afterimage that deceived everyone was enough to prove everything. Hiss! The surrounding cultivators all gasped. Inside the village, the saint concubine and the other women's lips curled up slightly. Their eyes revealed a hint of mockery. Your speed is too slow. Ning Qi looked at Mo Dong, who had his back to him and seemed to be in a state of shock. You. Mo Dong turned around abruptly, only to see a blade flying towards him. At this moment, Mo Dong felt the aura of death. It was as if he had stepped into the legendary underworld. Block. There was an angry roar. A massive round shield appeared in front of Mo Dong. There were ancient runes all over it. At that moment, those runes shone with a dazzling golden light, turning into a golden barrier of light that protected Mo Dong. At the same time, the golden light gathered together to form a massive beast with a lion's body and a human face. High-grade defensive spiritual artifact, the Lion King Shield. So this treasure was taken by Mo Dong back then. A trace of fierceness flashed in Zhong Ming's eyes. The rest of the people didn't look too good either. Among the cultivators present, many had participated in the treasure-hunting war more than 100 years ago. At that time, a high-grade defensive spiritual artifact was unearthed. It was the Lion King Shield that Mo Dong had taken out. It was said that it was a spiritual artifact left behind by a top expert who had transformed into a demonic lion a long time ago. During a gambling war, because he was too arrogant, he was besieged by experts who were ranked in the top 50 of the combat power ranking and was seriously injured on the spot. At that time, he took out the Lion King Shield and blocked the fatal attack. Then, he escaped without a trace. After a long time, the Lion King Shield reappeared by chance. At that time, basically all the experts who were ranked in the top 50 of the combat power ranking took action. The scene was very intense, but in the end, the Lion King Shield disappeared without a trace. Because of this, many cultivators died. No one expected that the Lion King Shield would appear in Mo Dong's hands. Even if it's the delightful demonic gourd, it will take some time to break my Lion King Shield, right? Mo Dong's eyes revealed a trace of confidence as he looked at Ning Qi mockingly. He wanted to see what kind of expression Ning Qi would have when he realized that he couldn't break his defense. After the cultivators who recognized the Lion King Shield recovered from the shock, they glanced at Ning Qi with pity. Not to mention Ning Beixian, even if Zhong Ming and Lei Tao joined forces, they wouldn't be able to defeat Mo Dong with the Lion King Shield. Unless he was surrounded by a few 8 tribulation creators, Mo Dong would definitely be invincible. Interesting, so the Lion King Shield is in Mo Dong's hands. Xiao Wuya and the others stood behind a big monk. This carriage also belonged to this big monk. He was the abbot of one of the 9 phantasms' ancient temple's branches in the realm of death. He was also a 7 tribulation creator and the grand uncle master of Sakyamuni Ri. Right now, after seeing the Lion King Shield, this big monk's eyes lit up. Poochie! A crisp sound rang out. The beast on the Lion King Shield was slashed in half by the dragon-slaying saber, followed by the golden light barrier, then the Lion King Shield. The entire place was silent. Even the sound of breathing was so weak that it couldn't be heard. How is this possible? Mo Dong's eyes revealed a series of question marks. He looked at Ning Qi in disbelief, as if he was a little unwilling. A thin crack appeared on the Lion King Shield. Then, with a clang, it broke into 2 halves. The golden patterns on it also dimmed. Finally, the Lion King Shield that had the aura of an upper-grade spirit artifact seemed to have died. It turned into something that looked like a black stone. In front of everyone, it turned into powder and scattered on the ground. A crack also appeared on Mo Dong's forehead, which extended all the way to his crotch. After revealing a look of unwillingness, his body split into 2 and fell to the sides. His steaming internal organs scattered on the ground, and the Master of Creation's essence blood seeped into the ground and was absorbed by the weeds on the ground, growing at a crazy rate. Mo Dong had died in battle. Qiu Zhan watched his superior die in front of him. If it was any other day, he would definitely be overjoyed because he and Mo Dong were not on good terms. However, he couldn't feel happy at this moment. His opponent had shattered the Lion King Shield with a single slash and even killed Mo Dong. This kind of strength was too terrifying. Qiu Zhan only felt a lingering fear in his heart. The group of coquettish female cultivators standing beside him were also shocked. They didn't know what to do. Mo Dong is dead. It's your turn. Ning Qi smiled at Lei Tao and the others. Ba. Benefactor, where it's possible to forgive, one should forgive. Chapter 1730. Roar. Xiao Wei and the rest stared blankly at the back of the monk, before turning to look at Shakyamuni Rui. Shakyamuni Rui stared dumbfoundedly at the crowd before revealing an ugly smile on his face. He then slowly closed his eyes. If he had known that his martial uncle was such a busybody, he would never have come this time around to watch the commotion and suddenly interfered with the matter. Master Sakya Huijing? When Zhong Ming and the others saw the monk, their eyes suddenly flashed with joy. The blood and qi on the monk's body surged, and it was much more vigorous than theirs. If Zhong Ming could defeat Mo Dong and Qiuzhan, who had not taken out the Lion King's shield, then Zhong Ming, Mo Dong, Lei Tao, and Qiuzhan together would not be a match for this monk. This was because the Nine Shatters Ancient Temple's ultimate divine skill, the Supreme Golden Buddha Body Technique, was a balanced cultivation technique that cultivated both inside and outside the body. In the early stages of cultivation, it was definitely not as fast as cultivating an internal cultivation technique. However, as one progressed, the power of the Supreme Golden Buddha Body Technique would become more prominent. Sakya Huijing was an old monk who had lived for God knows how many tens of thousands of years. Not only was his Dharma cultivation extremely high, his attainment in the Supreme Golden Buddha Body Technique was also extremely terrifying. In the despair of death, other than Sakya Dragon Ancestor, who was ranked in the top 10 of the combat strength ranking and was rumored to be the reincarnation of a real deity who had cultivated to the Eight Tribulation Master of Creation realm in a short span of 33,000 years, Sakya Huijing could be considered the strongest monk in the despair of death, or even the three great despair realms. Be lenient wherever possible? Old monk, do you know what will happen to me if I can't defeat Mo Dong today? Ning Qi's gaze fell on Sakya Huijing. The monk's physical aura was terrifying, several times stronger than the city lord of the dead city. Even Ziyu Yanjun couldn't compare to this monk after she used the forbidden technique. It could be said that the monk's physical body cultivation was comparable to Ning Qi's, who had yet to break through to the Four Tribulations creator. However, after experiencing the baptism of the lightning tribulation, Ning Qi's confining dragon-elephant art had reached the peak of the eighth heaven. At most, he would need one or two more lightning tribulations to break through to the ninth heaven. Compared to Ning Qi, there was still a certain gap between the old monk's physical body cultivation. Even so, it was still shocking enough. In Ning Qi's knowledge, even the physical strength of the Nine Tribulations Masters of Creation could not compare to him. After all, the cultivation technique he cultivated had already surpassed the limits of this world. It was the cultivation technique of the celestial race, fused with the 33 auxiliary principles, and specialized in cultivating the power of dragons and elephants. Supreme Buddha Golden Body Art. Glancing at the old monk's attributes, Ning Qi was curious about the cultivation technique he cultivated. Even if this set of cultivation technique did not reach the standard of the celestial race's cultivation technique, it was definitely the best in this world, right? Benefactor, you are a wanted criminal of the Joyous Demon sect. You stole the Joyous Demon gourd. As long as you hand it over, I believe Benefactor Mo Dong would definitely spare your life. Unfortunately, Benefactor Mo Dong died in your hands. I'm afraid even I can't resolve the enmity between you and the Joyous Demon sect. However, Benefactor, you must not make the same mistake again. I will persuade Benefactor Lei Tao and the others to let them leave. What do you think, Benefactor? Sakya Huijing put his palms together and smiled at Ning Qi. Although Mo Dong is dead, and even the Lion King's shield couldn't save his life, it only means that the sword in that guy's hand is sharp and unstoppable. Such a spiritual weapon is not weaker than the Joyous Demon gourd. Both of them are treasures. Today's opportunity is really rare. Why don't we work together to suppress him? Let these rogue cultivators attack together. After we suppress him, we can divide the spoils. Lei Tao suddenly transmitted his voice. Zhong Ming and Qiu Zhan's expressions changed slightly. After hesitating for a breath's time, the two of them nodded indiscernibly. Sakya Huijing also heard the transmission and couldn't help but frown. He naturally thought that Lei Tao and the others were no match for the cultivator in front of him. However, he believed that with his Dharma cultivation, it wouldn't be difficult to suppress Ning Qi. That was why he dared to step forward to be the peacemaker. He didn't expect Zhong Ming and the others to be attracted by Ning Qi's spiritual weapons and be blinded by the benefit. Old monk, did you hear their transmission? You still want to persuade me? Ning Qi laughed. Zhong Ming and the others' expressions changed slightly. The other party was just a four-tribulation creator with peerless combat power. How could he hear their private transmission? What was going on? Benefactor, why don't you hand over the two spiritual weapons to me for safekeeping? I'll bring you back to the temple. I believe Benefactor Lei Tao and the others will temporarily stop for my sake. At that time, we can clear up the misunderstanding and resolve it. Wouldn't it be a happy ending for both sides? Sakya Huijing said with a smile. This old bald donkey actually wants to keep the two spiritual weapons for himself? Zhong Ming and the others looked at Sakya Huijing in shock and anger. They didn't believe that he would temporarily keep the spiritual weapons. They were afraid that in the end, these two spiritual weapons would be sent back to the real 9 prefectures' ancient temple to be suppressed because they were stained with too much blood. At that time, even their sect leaders wouldn't have a chance to ask for them. The surrounding cultivators' expressions became slightly strange when they heard this, but Sakya Huijing's expression was very calm. Ning Qi looked at him for a while and laughed. Big monk, you're really too naive. I'll say this. Those who covet me today, don't even think about leaving this place. Big monk, if you don't have any other thoughts about my spiritual weapons, why don't you turn around and leave? What? Doesn't that mean that even we can't leave this place? The surrounding cultivators looked at Ning Qi with their mouths agape. A trace of anger flashed in their eyes, but they didn't think about the purpose of their visit. Benefactor, you're really stubborn. Sakya Huijing let out a long sigh. All of you, listen up. Attack together and suppress this kid. Our 3 demon sects will definitely reward you after this. If you don't attack, not only will this kid not let you off, our 3 demon sects will not let you off either. Lei Tao suddenly roared angrily. His voice was so loud that it could be heard hundreds of miles away. Attack! Qiu Zhan also let out an angry roar. Attack! All the cultivators from the 3 demon sects felt their blood boil as they roared angrily. Roar! The dragons and beasts that were pulling the chariots also roared under the control of their masters. Do you rely on roaring to attack? Go to hell! Ning Qi's expression turned cold. He slashed out with his saber. Wherever the saber passed, the void shattered inch by inch. Qiu Zhan and the joyful demon sect cultivators behind him stood on the spot, as if they were shocked by the saber. But then all the cultivators saw an extremely terrifying scene. Chapter 1731. Explode. He killed over 100 cultivators of the joyous demon sect, including Qiu Zhan, with a single slash? Everyone felt their hair stand on end when they saw this scene. They looked at Ning Qi with fear in their eyes, especially Zhong Ming and Lei Tao, who were not far away from Qiu Zhan. They were more frightened than the others because they were the closest to Qiu Zhan. When the saber aura swept over, they felt the terrifying aura of impending death, even though it wasn't targeted at them. This aura was almost the same as what Mo Dong had felt before he died. The two of them felt that if the other party had slashed at them, they would have ended up like Qiu Zhan. They wouldn't have been able to react in time and would have been sliced into two. Too strong. This kid is too strong. Not only is the saber in his hand unstoppable, but his combat strength has also exceeded our imagination. Zhong Ming stared at Ningqi in fear. He had been in the realm of death for so long and had fought with 8 tribulation creators a few times, but this was the first time he felt a suffocating fear from Ningqi. This was a feeling that not even those 8 tribulation creators had made him feel. I must find a chance to escape from this place. The same thought rose in the minds of all the rogue cultivators. The 5 cultivators who had initially planned to enter Cloud Rising Village to take advantage of Qiuzhan and all the cultivators from the delightful demon sect were so scared that their legs trembled. They were glad that Qiuzhan was dead. If not for Qiuzhan, they would have died at the hands of the enemy first. Amit Ba, benefactor, your methods are too vicious. Sakya Huijing was stunned for a moment. Her gaze fell on Ningqi, and a trace of bewilderment flashed in her eyes. Ningqi's saber strike just now had an irresistible force, and it was as fast as lightning. Even she didn't have the time to react before Qiuzhan and the others lost their lives under Ningqi's saber. Such saber technique, such speed, she had a clearer understanding of Ningqi's combat strength. Old monk, where am I? Ningqi smiled. The realm of death. Sakya Huijing was taken aback. That's right. In the realm of death, isn't it just you kill me and I kill you? Haven't you killed anyone after being in the realm of death for so long? Ningqi smiled and said, I only kill those who deserve to be killed. Demons, evil cultivators, everyone has the right to kill them. Sakya Huijing said lightly. Then are these 2 considered demons? Ningqi pointed at Lei Tao and Zhong Ming and said to Sakya Huijing with a smile, They are cultivators from the 9 Nether Demon sect and the Mental Demon sect. If they don't agree with each other, they will kill. I'm afraid they have killed more people than me, right? The sin value above their heads was more than 2,000. Even the city lord of the dead city didn't have such a high sin value. One could imagine that these 2 people must have slaughtered millions or even tens of millions of innocent lives. In the world of cultivation, there would often be living beings disappearing in a certain place overnight, but no cultivator would investigate to find out where they went. At most, they would be swallowed by passing demons, or sacrificed by demonic cultivators or evil cultivators to refine artifacts or cultivate some kind of demonic cultivation technique. These kinds of things were common. These 2 benefactors are naturally not demons. Sakya Huijing clasped her palms together. Blind monk, why are you still chanting Buddha? The corners of Ningqi's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a trace of mockery. Old monk, you only see what you want to see. For what you don't want to see, just keep your 6 senses pure. You're not a real Buddha. You're just using the name of Buddha to seek immortality, just like us. The same vulgarity, the same greed. Benefactor. Sakya Huijing's eyes widened, a trace of anger flashed in her eyes, and her voice sounded like a bell. You are not qualified to talk about Buddha. I only know that if my fist is bigger than yours, there can only be one Buddha in your heart, and that is me. Ningqi laughed wildly, no longer talking to this old monk who couldn't tell right from wrong. He directly slashed out several times, and the surrounding cultivators immediately let out miserable cries. Immediately, hundreds of cultivators died under the Dragon Slayer saber. The others who were not killed looked at the corpses around them with lingering fear and fled in all directions. Capture them all, I want them alive. Ningqi said lightly. Yes. Ningzi and the other 3 nodded, turned into 4 bolts of lightning, and disappeared behind Ningqi. Venerable Sakya Huijing, this person has already become a demon. He is an evil cultivator, let us join forces to suppress him. Zhong Ming made a prompt decision and shouted angrily. Benefactor, since you are so stubborn, then don't blame this old monk for attacking you. Buddha is merciful. Sakya Huijing chanted the name of Buddha, and her body suddenly emitted a golden light. She took a step forward, and a golden Buddha statue that was hundreds of feet tall appeared in the air. This Buddha statue was none other than Sakya Huijing, Supreme Golden Buddha Body Secret. Zhong Ming and the other two revealed a trace of surprise in their eyes. It seemed that Sakya Huijing was going to attack with all his strength. Boom! The golden Buddha statue raised its right foot and directly stomped towards Ningqi. If this kind of strength was placed in the universe on Earth, it would be enough to destroy heaven and earth, and cause a star to explode. However, there was the existence of the heavenly Tao here, and the luck of the earth was on its body. Even a 9-tribulation master of creation would not be able to destroy this place, let alone Sakya Huijing. He was only a 7-tribulation master of creation, but it was still possible for him to stomp a bottomless abyss. Now is the time. Zhong Ming and Lei Tao looked at each other and did not hesitate to attack. They wanted to take this opportunity to kill Ningqi in one blow under Sakya Huijing's cover. Although this kid's combat strength is shocking, he is still a 4-tribulation master of creation. As long as our attacks hit him, he will definitely die. This was what the two of them were thinking. With this thought, the two of them dared to attack Ningqi. Ha ha! Let's see if your strength is greater or mine. Eternal Immortal Emperor. Ningqi's body expanded with the wind, and he took the opportunity to punch the sole of Sakya Huijing's foot. The golden Buddha statue that Sakya Huijing transformed into was directly sent flying by this punch. How is this possible? Zhong Ming and Lei Tao were like two mosquitoes. They could not stop in time, and their heads crashed into Ningqi's chest, which was even bigger than Sakya Huijing. Right now, Ningqi's body was twice the size of Sakya Huijing's golden Buddha statue. In front of Ningqi, the two of them were no different from ants. Their attacks landed on Ningqi's body, but other than leaving 2 white marks, they actually could not hurt Ningqi at all. You two flies, you want to help Demon East suppress me? Covet my spirit equipment? Explode. Chapter 1732. Chapter 1732. Chapter 1732 3 Punches. When the cultivators of the 9th Netherworld Demon Sect and the Mental Demon Sect saw their patriarchs being crushed to death by Ningqi, their eyes filled with fear. They immediately lost their will to fight and turned to flee. Mo Dong, Qiu Zhan, Zhong Ming, and Lei Tao, the 4 7-tribulation creators, were killed by Ningqi one after another. Even the golden Buddha statue that Sakya Huijing transformed into was no match for Ningqi and was sent flying by Ningqi with a single punch. Some of the cultivators who were hiding and trying to fish in troubled waters didn't dare to have any thoughts of attacking Ningqi after seeing this scene. They all used their own methods to escape. Ningqi could only remember their auras, but he couldn't capture them one by one because their cultivation level was at least at the 6th tribulation creator level. If they really wanted to escape, Ningqi could only suppress a small portion of them. Sakya Rui, hurry up and let this strange beast pull us out of here! Duanmu Chong shouted at Sakya Rui. Fuji and the rest also showed a trace of fear in their eyes. They were currently in the center of the battle. If Ningqi noticed what was happening here and casually killed them, it would be too unjust for them. They had gone through so much trouble to reach this desperate situation. They did not want to end up like this. I can't control this strange beast, Sakya Rui smiled bitterly. The strange beast that was pulling the carriage was a giant ape that exuded a trace of Buddhist qi. It was obvious that it had been listening to Sakya Huijing's chanting of Buddhist scriptures all year round. At this moment, this giant ape was staring at Ningqi like a tiger watching its prey. It seemed extremely dissatisfied that its master had been sent flying by Ningqi. With such a loyal appearance, Sakya Rui would not be able to order this giant ape around unless he had some special methods. Xiaoye and the rest had ugly expressions. They looked at each other and left without hesitation. They would definitely not stay here and wait for death. Sakya Rui hesitated for a moment and finally sighed. He chose to stay on the carriage. If he left, even if he returned to the 9 prefectures' ancient temple alive, his Buddha heart would be shaken, which would be extremely disadvantageous to his future cultivation. He could only hope that his martial granduncle could suppress Ning Qi. Benefactor, put down the butcher's knife and repent. A mighty voice came from afar. Sakya Huijing flew back from afar. She raised her head and looked at Ning Qi, who was half her height. Her eyes revealed a trace of bewilderment. You and I have different philosophies, so there's no point in talking too much. You cultivate the supreme golden Buddha body incantation, which cultivates both internal and external cultivation, while my cultivation technique isn't weak either. Why don't we see who's stronger? Ning Qi laughed. Without waiting for Sakya Huijing to speak, Ning Qi continued, If you can withstand 3 of my punches, I won't kill you today. If you can't even withstand 3 of my punches, then there's no need to say anything else. If you want to persuade a tiger to eat herbivores, then you must at least have the ability to subdue the tiger. Alright. I promise you. A trace of joy flashed in Sakya Huijing's eyes. Judging from the power of Ning Qi's punch, he knew that if they continued fighting, he might not be a match for the other party. However, withstanding 3 punches was still a piece of cake. He had cultivated the golden Buddha body for many years. Not to mention 3 punches, he was confident that he could withstand 30 punches. Just as Ning Qi and Sakya Huijing made the bet, the surrounding cultivators had basically been suppressed by Ning Zi and the rest. These cultivators, who had planned to fish in troubled waters, were now gathered together with pale faces. Ning Zi and the other 3 stood around them. It's just 3 punches, fortunately, Sakya Rui heaved a sigh of relief. Xiao Wuya and the rest, who had already escaped far away, stopped in their tracks in bewilderment and looked over. Perhaps they were the last to arrive here, and they had followed the old monk here. Ning Zi and the rest did not choose to attack them. They only glanced at them indifferently and ignored them. Are you ready? Ning Qi looked at Sakya Huijing with a faint smile. Sakya Huijing put his palms together, and the golden light on his body became increasingly dazzling. I'm ready. Benefactor, please make your move. Boom. Just as Sakya Huijing finished speaking, Ning Qi's fist had already smashed into his body. Sakya Huijing's feet sank deep into the ground, and he was pushed back dozens of miles by this punch, leaving behind 2 deep ravines. At the same time, a loud buzzing sound spread out in all directions from where Ning Qi was. Many seriously injured cultivators heard this loud sound and couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. They looked at Ning Qi with pale faces, and their eyes were filled with fear. Crack! A crisp sound came from Sakya Huijing's body. Everyone looked up and saw Sakya Huijing's current appearance in shock. He had originally transformed into a golden Buddha statue, but his golden body now had cracks that looked like spider webs. Uncle Master! Sakya Rui looked at this scene in disbelief. There were cracks on his golden body, which meant that Sakya Huijing's supreme golden Buddha body art was about to break. It was just 1 punch, and 1 punch could cause such a terrifying result. How could the other party's strength be so terrifying? Continue. Second punch. The corner of Ning Qi's mouth curled up slightly, and his figure suddenly disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already standing in front of Sakya Huijing. His body was like a bow and his fist was like an arrow. His entire body was surging with blood. Everyone's eyes flashed with a trace of confusion. At this moment, it was as if they weren't looking at Ning Qi, but an extremely terrifying ancient giant beast. My Buddha! Sakya Huijing looked at Ning Qi in a daze, and a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. Before he could say the word mercy, Ning Qi's fist had already landed on his body. Sakya Huijing was instantly sent flying and tumbling in the air. As he tumbled, pieces of golden fragments fell from his body. After these golden fragments fell to the ground, they seemed to be absorbed by the earth and disappeared without a trace. Boom! There was a loud sound, and after the smoke dissipated, everyone saw an extremely skinny old monk sitting on the ground. From his face, they could vaguely see Sakya Huijing's appearance. However, compared to before, Sakya Huijing seemed to have been starved for many years. His flesh and blood had inexplicably disappeared, leaving only a layer of skin wrapped around his bones. "Uncle Master!" Sakya Rui looked at this scene in a daze. He was unwilling to believe what he saw. The current state of the Uncle Master was clearly a sign that after his golden body was shattered, all his external cultivation would dissipate. There was once an ancestor of the 9 prefectures' ancient temple who had his golden body shattered in a battle with others. Not only did his cultivation fall, but his lifespan was also greatly reduced. Not long after, he died of old age. The giant ape let out an angry roar, pulled the carriage and flew to Sakya Huijing's side, and looked at him anxiously. "Benefactor, this monk has lost." Sakya Huijing adjusted his breathing for a while, opened his eyes, and looked at Ning Qi with a bitter smile. Chapter 1733. Chapter 1733. Chapter 1733. It happened. "Old monk, you can leave now." Ning Qi glanced at him indifferently and waved his hand. The giant ape was originally very angry, but when he heard Ning Qi's words, he was slightly startled. A hint of suspicion flashed through his eyes. "Benefactor, these people," Sakya Huijing seemed to want to plead for the group of cultivators. With a thought, the giant ape sent the old monk to the carriage. He did not care that Xiao Wuya and the others had not boarded the carriage yet. He brought the old monk and Sakyamuni Rui along and disappeared from everyone's sight. Duanmu Chang's eyes were filled with regret. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have gotten off the car and left with Sakya Rui. Before this, they really didn't expect that Ning Qi would let Sakya Huijing leave this place alive. Could it be that Sakya Huijing had a different goal from Mo Dong and the rest? Was that why Ning Beixian spared his life? In the next moment, Xiao Wuya and the others stiffened slightly. Ning Qi's body shrunk and reverted to his original appearance. He appeared before them and looked at them with a faint smile. "Brother Xiao, Brother Duanmu, how have you been?" Ning Qi smiled. "Brother Ning." Xiao Wuya and the others were slightly better off. After all, they'd met Ning Qi once a few thousands of years ago, but their eldest senior brothers were terrified at this moment and didn't dare speak. Their bodies were extremely stiff, and a strand of cold sweat gradually emerged from their foreheads. The fellow in front of them was a terrifying existence that viewed 7 tribulation creators as ants, one that could crush them to death with a wave of his hand. "Come to think of it, the news must have been spread by you, right?" Ning Qi smiled faintly. Kiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Was it coming? Were they going to die? When they thought up to here, everyone revealed a trace of terror on their faces. Even Xiao Wuya, who was usually very steady, was like this. "Thank you, everyone, for bringing so many masters of creation to me. In the future, continue to spread this news and let more masters of creation come to find me. Do you understand? If you understand, please return. I won't be sending you off," Ning Qi said with a smile. What was going on? The sudden turn of events caused Xiao Wuya and the others to reveal a trace of astonishment in their eyes. They stared at Ning Qi dumbfounded. Why was he thanking them? However, they didn't have time to think about it. Since Ning Qi had allowed them to leave and had no intention of killing them, they couldn't let go of this opportunity. It didn't matter if Ning Qi was toying with them or not. They glanced at the group of suppressed cultivators and a trace of pity flashed in their eyes. Compared to them, they at least had a chance. "Then, Brother Ning, we will take our leave first." Xiao Wuya mustered up his courage and cupped his hands towards Ningqi. He turned around and left tentatively. Ningqi didn't attack him even after he disappeared into the horizon. Duanmu Chong and the others, who hadn't dared to move, hurriedly followed. Not long after, they left Cloud Rising Village's territory. Everyone gathered together with lingering fear. What do you think he means? The fourth tribulation creator from the mental demons sect glanced in the direction of Cloud Rising Village and said bitterly, "Not only did he not kill us, but he even thanked us. How strange." The fourth tribulation creator from the Yin Yang sect let out a long sigh of relief. Today, he had escaped with his life. After all, even an old monster like Demon East was killed by the other party. Many of the sixth tribulation creators had also died, not to mention the fifth tribulation creators. As for them, they were merely fourth tribulation creators, but they were able to escape with their lives. If today's incident were to spread out and people knew about it, they would definitely be shocked. Could this person be cultivating some kind of demonic technique? The one who spoke was the monk from the Nine Phantasms ancient temple who had been quiet all this while. He had also escaped from the carriage with the others, and his expression was a little ugly now. Hearing that, everyone glanced at him strangely. Was this guy planning to label Ning Beixian as a demonic cultivator? Seeing that the others didn't agree with him, the monk let out a hollow laugh and shut his mouth. No matter what, Ning Beixian spared our lives today. I think we should stay away from him in the future. With such a terrifying technique, unless an eighth tribulation creator comes, we definitely won't be able to suppress Ning Beixian. Then, he just told us to work harder in the future and get more creators to find him. Are you guys being sarcastic? Is he warning us not to reveal the news? The fourth tribulation creator from the battle sect said in a low voice. That's possible. Everyone nodded in unison. Then, it's better not to spread what happened today. Anyway, Senior Sakya Huijing is still alive, and the other sects will naturally have him spread the news. When the fourth tribulation creator from the Yin Yang sect said that, he glanced around. Seeing that, everyone flew into the sky with tacit understanding and flew into the distance. From the beginning to the end, they were guarding against Ning Qi's words. Half of what they said just now was for themselves, and the other half was actually for Ning Qi. They might never understand that what Ning Qi said just now wasn't sarcastic at all. He was sincerely asking them to continue working hard and take revenge for Ning Qi. Senior Beixian, I was wrong. Please let me live. The group of cultivators suppressed at the village entrance knelt and begged for mercy when they saw Ning Qi walking towards them. Their eyes were filled with regret. They really hoped that the heavens would give them another chance. That way, they would definitely stay far away from this place. They definitely wouldn't barge into this place and die like this. Especially the 5 cultivators who thought they had hugged Xiuzhan's legs. Now, they were kneeling in a corner with tears streaming down their faces. You guys kept talking about how to enter the village to steal my treasures, and now you want me to spare your lives? If I wasn't strong enough, I would have been swallowed alive by you, right? How can you say such shameless things? Are you even human? Ning Qi frowned. Everyone looked at Ning Qi in shock. If you have any last words, don't say them. No one will hear you even if you say them. Go on your way. Ning Qi's lips curled up. Ning Beixian, you will die a horrible death. You've offended the 3 demon sections. There will be no place for you to hide in the land of death. You will definitely die without a complete corpse. We will wait for you in the netherworld. Knowing that they were going to die, some cultivators immediately cursed at Ning Qi. After a few words, the sea of demon qi and fire swept towards them. A breeze blew past, leaving only a pile of ashes on the ground. It proved that they had once come to the human world. Ding! Congratulations, host, for successfully killing. Ding! The system notifications kept ringing. Chapter 1734. Chapter 1734. The village of 300 inch only 20,000 more and I will reach the requirement for advancement. This trip to the impasse of death was not in vain. Ning Chi was very satisfied with his harvest this time, but there was one thing he was still worried about. After returning to the village, he entered the top cultivation training ground. As expected, it disappeared. After he killed Mo Dong and the others, Ning Chi felt that the divine power seemed to have strengthened a lot, but when he entered the top cultivation training ground, the divine power disappeared. This meant that the heavenly Tao rules of the impasse of death could not affect Ning Chi in terms of origin, and could only strengthen Ning Chi when he was in the impasse of death. Ning Chi had always been vigilant about this divine power, and did not let his guard down just because it had increased his combat strength to a certain extent. After all, it was not a power that he cultivated, but was imposed on him by the outside world. Before he was sure of the existence of the impasse of death, and what purpose it had, Ning Chi would not let his guard down. After leaving the cultivation training ground, the divine power that had disappeared reappeared in Ning Chi's body. He moved his mind. Nuwa appeared in front of Ning Chi. Nuwa, have you found out all the information about the villages within a radius of 100,000 li? Ning Chi smiled. Yes, it's done. Nviwa made a victory gesture with a hint of pride in her eyes. Seeing this, Ning Chi called Ning Zi and the other three over and asked Nviwa to take them to those villages to walk around and take a look. For those who knew their place, Ning Chi would let them go, but those who did not would be captured alive by Ning Zi and the others, and then brought back to Cloudrise village. Half a month passed. In this half a month, Ning Chi cultivated the imprisonment dragon-elephant method in the top cultivation training ground. After calculating the time, Ning Chi felt that it was about time, so he went out. Ning Zi and the others had indeed raised all the villages within a radius of 30,000 li, and all those who refused to obey were captured and brought to Ning Chi. Ning Chi naturally did not care about these cultivators' pleas, and directly killed them with a wave of his hand. He received a considerable amount of fortune points, and was getting closer and closer to the 100,000 mark. Apart from that, in this half a month, it was very quiet outside Cloudrise village, and no cultivators came to disturb them. It was likely that the old monk had already spread the news of the battle. With his personality, it was only natural that he would try to persuade normal cultivators not to come to Cloudrise village to seek death. Ning Chi didn't care about that at all. He had an exquisite grasp of the psychology of cultivators. When Sakya Huijing talked about how terrifying Ning Chi was, it was true that he could intimidate a large group of cultivators in the beginning. But in the later stages, because of their greed, the cultivators who had been intimidated before would gather in droves to Cloudrise village. It was a rebellious mentality, a paranoid mentality. Rather than waiting for them to come one by one, Ning Chi would rather wait for a period of time. When the time came, he would take them all in one go. Another month passed. The villages within a radius of 100,000 miles were all destroyed, including the strongest village with a 7 tribulation master of creation. Under the siege of Ning Zi and the other three, they knocked out the 7 tribulation master of creation and brought him to Ning Chi. System, under my leadership, Cloudrise village has become the strongest village in the surrounding 50,000 kilometers. Why hasn't the quest been completed yet? Ning Chi found it a little strange. He had sent Nuwa to investigate many times. Now there wasn't a single village in the surrounding 100,000 kilometers. Some cultivators who had seen Ning Zi and the other three personally spread the news that someone was encircling and annihilating the village. The other cultivators naturally didn't dare to rashly establish a village before they figured out what was going on. Logically speaking, he had already completed the quest assigned by the system. But the system still hadn't given him a reward. The quest panel was still gray, indicating that the quest had not been completed. Ning Qi's current creation points had already exceeded 95,000. As long as the quest reward was given, he could surpass the 100,000 mark and advance to a 5 tribulation Master of Creation. After a moment of silence, the system's notification finally sounded. Because the population of Cloudrise Village that host is in is less than 300, the mission cannot be completed. Host, please gather 300 villagers within a month. Otherwise, the mission will be considered a failure. Note that the villagers must enter the village voluntarily for it to count. Since you had such a request, why didn't you say so earlier? Ning Qi rolled his eyes. But he also knew that the system wouldn't answer his question. Right now, he could only follow the system's request and gather 300 villagers. But during this period of time, not to mention humans, even birds and beasts rarely passed by Cloudrise Village. There were simply too many dead masters of creation here. Although their souls weren't left behind, the scent of blood that seeped deep into the soil could be smelled from hundreds of kilometers away. Even if cultivators passed by, they wouldn't dare to approach recklessly. Ning Qi arranged for Nuwa to set up a sign at the village entrance. On it was a notice to recruit villagers. After waiting for a few days, there was no movement. If this continued, not to mention a month, they might not even be able to gather 300 villagers in a year. You guys stay here and watch the village. If there's a strong enemy you can't handle, crush this jade slip. Ning Qi instructed Ning Zi and the others. He also took out a jade slip with his divine will attached and handed it to Ning Zi. Then, he sped towards the market closest to Cloudrise Village. Fresh dragon tendon. I just extracted it from a 3 tribulation dragon. I'll only exchange it for elixirs. Interested cultivators can come up and discuss in detail. 300 supreme grade cauldrons. Cultivators who cultivate Ein-type cultivation techniques, don't miss this opportunity. These 300 people are equivalent to an 8th grade elixir. Shanghai Village is recruiting 50 villagers. Your cultivation level must be at least 2nd Tribulation Master of Creation. The higher your cultivation level, the more cultivation resources you will receive every month. I hope everyone will sign up. This market, which was 500,000 kilometers away from Cloudrise Village, was quite lively. Just as Ning Qi stepped into the market, he saw an endless stream of cultivators walking and trading on the street. There was a transaction almost every minute and every second. There were also many villages that had the same goal as him. Some were recruiting 1st Tribulation Masters of Creation, while others were only recruiting 2nd Tribulation Masters of Creation. Stalls like these had the most inquiries. As for stalls recruiting 3rd Tribulation Masters of Creation and above, they were completely deserted. Although there were quite a few 3rd Tribulation Masters of Creation and above, they were very likely to die. Usually, they would gather in powerful villages or markets. In the market that Ning Qi was currently at, there were pitifully few 3rd Tribulation Masters of Creation. 4th Tribulation Masters of Creation were extremely rare. There were only 2 auras of 5th Tribulation Masters of Creation. They should be the rulers of this market. There was not a single 6th Tribulation Master of Creation. If one were to really calculate, the strength of this market could only be considered as an average village. It was only slightly stronger than a village like Demon Tiger Village. Cloudrise Village is recruiting 300 villagers? No cultivation level limit? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.